Hey guys! So I said that we would do some depositions from the Afroman case. And we're going to go in chronological order. The first one I see is from Afroman, so I bet you guys will like starting off with that. It's 150 or so pages, a lot of it is index. So this stream might just be this one deposition, but some of the other depositions are shorter, like 20, 30 pages. So maybe we can squeeze an extra one in. If not, if we do a part 2, we'll probably be able to get through a lot of the depositions much faster since they're much shorter. There are, let's see, we've got 9 total. And the first one we're going to read from Afroman is from September 3rd, 2024. The rest were all taken in August of 2025, like the first week of August. And there's also a second deposition from Joseph Foreman at that time. So let's get into this because there's going to be a lot to read. Good to see everybody. I hope everybody is having a fantastic weekend so far. And if you missed it, the judgment was entered on the docket for the verdict in the Plaintiffs versus Afroman case. If you want to check that out, I did like a 4-minute video on it if you want to see what that says. The judge wants the parties, both the plaintiffs and the defendants, to split the court costs. So things like court fees, paying for the court reporter, stuff like that. Judge finds that based on the merits of the case and the justiciability, I can never say that word, that both parties should split 50-50. So 50% covered by Afroman and 50% covered by the 7 plaintiffs. So go check that out. Let me know if you think that's fair. And let's get into this deposition from September 3rd, 2024. It's Afroman's first deposition. It's the first one in this case. So we've got, let's see, the plaintiffs are taking this deposition. It's Robert Klingler doing the deposition. David Osborne is present for Afroman. We've also got David Mosier present because the counterclaim was still in place. So David Mosier was representing the plaintiffs for the counterclaim filed by Afroman. And then present, we also have listed, it seems like Sean Grooms, Michael Estep, Sean Cooley, Justin Cooley, Brian Newland, and Lisa Phillips were all there. So these 6 plaintiffs are sitting in. Who are we missing on this? Randy. It doesn't look like Randy was sitting in. And then we have Natalie Gratzer, who's co-counsel for Klingler. All right, so we've got some stipulations. It is stipulated by counsel for the respective parties that the deposition of Joseph Edgar Foreman, a defendant herein, may be taken at this time by the plaintiffs as upon cross-examination. So they get to ask leading questions. And pursuant to the Ohio Rules of Civil Procedure and notice to take deposition, all other legal formalities being waived by agreement, that the deposition may be taken in stenotype by the notary public reporter and transcribed by her out of the presence of the witness, that the transcribed deposition was made available to the witness for examination, and that signature may be affixed out of the presence of the notary public court reporter. All right, so meat and potatoes. So they swear Afroman in, a defendant herein of lawful age, having been first duly sworn as hereinafter certified, was examined and deposed as follows. Cross-examination by Mr. Klingler. Good morning, Mr. Foreman. My name is Bob Klingler. I represent the plaintiffs in this case. I'll be asking you some questions today. If you don't understand what I'm asking you, please just let me know. I'll rephrase it so that when you give me an answer, I'll assume you understood what my question was. Does that make sense? Yes. If you want to take a break at any time, let me know. Sometimes I just tend to go on until somebody stops me. So there's no judge here. We can be kind of informal, at least for parts of this. But if you want to take a break or anything, we can do that at any time. I don't think I'm going to be taking a real long time today. It's 100 and something pages. But there's some areas that I want to go over with you. Let me start by asking you if you've ever had your deposition taken before. No. This is the first time? Yes, sir. Okay, let's start by asking you what your current residential address is. Well, and he goes through that. They spell it, and they say that it's in Winchester, Ohio. You said that's beside another piece of property. Yes, sir. And is there a house on that property? Yes, sir. And who lives there? My children. And just so I can keep them straight, What's the address of that house? And everything's the same. So how many children do you have? He's got 3. They all live there? No, sir. How old are the children who live at the Russellville address? He says time is passing. Last I checked, it was like 12 and 14 now. And then you have a 3rd child. How old is that child? She's like 27. Okay, and where does your 27-year-old live? In Texas. And did she ever live here in Adams County? No, sir. Okay, Mr. Foreman, are you currently married? No, sir. Have you ever been married? Yes. How many times have you been married? 3. Well, dang, Afroman. He says, let's see. Did you live with all of those wives in Adams County? No, sir. Did you live with any of them in Adams County? 1. Was that the most recent wife? Yes. And what was her name? Is her name Angela Foreman? He answers. And approximately when were you married? When did you get married to Angela Foreman? Like 2008. And are you divorced currently? Yes, sir. When did you get divorced? 2009. So just a year or so you were married? Yes, sir. And that was your most recent wife? Right. Is Angela the mother of any of your children? Yes, the 2 youngest. Who lives with you at the main address? Nobody. Has anyone ever lived at that house with you? Yes, I've had one lady stay there. She stayed there. She helped me out with. She stayed there for like maybe 2 or 3 months. Who was that? Her name was Joey Lambert. How long have you lived at that other address? Since probably like 2008 or 9. And is that the address that the search warrant was executed on? Yes. I believe that event happened around August 21st of 2022. Does that sound about right? Yes. At the time, in August of 2022, was anybody else living at the Russellville Road address besides yourself? Yes, she'd just left. She being Jody Lambert? Joey Lambert. She had just left? Yeah, she left like, I don't know, probably like, I don't know, it's been a minute, but like 2 or 3 weeks or maybe a month before. No, sir, she was with me at all at the time. So we were still together at that time. She left a little bit after that. It's been a minute. It's been a couple years. Okay, so to the best of your recollection right now, on August 21st, at the time, 2022, at the time the search warrant was executed, Joey Lambert, is it L-A-M-B? And Afroman finishes E-R-T. Lambert. Joey Lambert was living at the Russellville Road. Yes. With you? Okay. And then you think she left a couple weeks or something after. Yes, sir. And is that, when she left, did you break up or were you guys together? Yes. Yeah. And then you sort of broke up? Yes. Is that what happened? Yes. And let me pop this over here so we can get the chat going. Let me move. Oh, do I have this screen all weird? What does it look like to you guys? I never saved the layout, so sorry if this was looking weird. I just had it sitting, so sorry if it was all tiny for you guys. I never actually hit save. My bad. Anyway, it should be large now if it wasn't a second ago. And then they say, and then you sort of broke up. Yes. Is that what happened? Yes. So now in August of 2022, where were your youngest 2 children living? And then they're next door. Who were they living with? Angela Foreman. So they would have been maybe roughly 10 and 12 at the time, you think? Whatever 2 years ago was, yeah. Okay. How long have you lived in Adams County, Mr. Foreman? When did you first move here? Probably like in early summer of like 2007. And did you have family here? What brought you here? Angela Foreman. And is Angela from here? Her family lives here. Okay, before you moved to Adams County to be with Angela, where did you live? Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And then Osborne, Afroman's attorney, says, can you say that again, please? The witness says, Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Osborne says, how do you spell Hattiesburg? So he says, Hatties. David Osborne says, thank you. Where did you attend high school? He said, in Palmdale, California. And did you graduate? No, sir. How far did you get? 11th grade. Dang, you were almost there. And what's your date of birth, Mr. Foreman? So his birthday here is July 28th, you guys. You already know what cake he needs. Any college or trade school at all? Yes. Compton County College. Took Associated Tech. That's pretty much about it. Was that in a certain subject matter? Yeah, I took up child development, a mechanic class in Compton Community College, and then I took up medical assistant in the Associated Technical College. And did you ever work in any of those areas? I did. I did some medical assisting, but not the other ones. Okay. And when you did, roughly, you don't have to be exact. When did you attend Compton Community College? Like around 95, 96. And you said you used your medical assistant training for a while. What else did you do for income after leaving Compton Community College? I worked at the airport, at the LA airport. And what did you do there? Everything. Doesn't every job feel like that? Pre-board screening, worked on the ramp. Those are the two primary places I worked. How long were you working at the airport? For like 5, 6 years. And then what did you do after that? I moved to Mississippi and I started working at a chicken factory in Mississippi. What brought you to Mississippi? My dad lived there, and he was explaining to me how the cost of living was cheaper in Mississippi than it was in California, so he talked me into coming. And then how long did you stay in Mississippi? Until about 2007. Now, at some point, you started a musical career? Yes. When did that start and how did it start? I've been rapping since elementary school, so I jambled with it and I paid my bills with like a real job while I took chances. So I got signed to a record company in 2001. What company was that? Universal. Okay. And then did you start traveling then, or were you just doing studio type of work, or what did you do after 2001 with your musical career? Began touring and doing whatever artists need to do to sell records. So when you say you were signed with Universal, there was like a signed contract with them? Yes, sir. Of some kind. And you still have a signed contract with Universal? It says somewhere. Is it still? Oh, no. I'm not with Universal anymore, no. When did you stop associating with Universal? Probably sometime in 2002. Okay, and why did that association with Universal end? Well, they had me on the label, but they wouldn't put out none of the new songs I was writing, so if I had my own label, I could continue to put out songs. Okay, so you ended that contract. Yes, sir. And then you started putting out your own songs? Yes. Under your own label? Yes, sir. And what label was that? Hungry Hustler. Is Hungry Hustler a corporation? It's an LLC, it's a record label. Okay, and the official name is Hungry Hustler LLC? My record label is called Hungry Hustler Records. And you are the sole owner? Yes, sir. And does Hungry Hustler still exist? Does it still do business? Yes, sir. And when you put out a record, put out music these days, I assume there's no vinyl involved anymore. And Afroman says, it's back. Oh yeah? Yes. Okay, so does Hungry Hustler put out vinyl records of yours? Not as of yet. It's a plan to get done. Everybody wants them. So what platform or how does your music get published? Right now, people buy like digital downloads. I can still sell a CD, but I have to sell it at a show or something. People will still buy a CD too, and they'll buy vinyl. But right now, it's digital downloads. You can just upload it to the computer and everybody can get it. Other than Hungry Hustler Records, do you have any other business entities that you own or have partial ownership in other than stocks on the stock market or something? I mean, like Hungry Hustler Records is my record label, but, it's not official. I might do a commercial for somebody, but I don't have a commercial business. You know what I mean? I might do this, I might do that, So I take calls, but that's my primary business, Hungry Hustler Records. I sell records. So if you do like a commercial for somebody, what entity gets paid? Do they just give a check to Joe Foreman or Hungry Hustlers or something else? Joseph Foreman, they just pay me. And you still tour, right? Yes, sir. And you sell products of one kind or another sometimes, is that right? Like t-shirts or beer or something? How does that work? He says, I sell merchandise. And do you sell merchandise just on your own from Joseph Foreman? Yes. Sometimes I might license other people to sell some of my merchandise, but when I go to shows, I have products available. Okay, and what products do you have available at your shows? T-shirts, hats, stickers, body wash. You got body wash? I'm always adding in, putting gadgets and gadgets at the merchandise, but my two primary things is hats and t-shirts. So if somebody's at a concert and they want to buy a t-shirt, and they've got a credit card, who does that money go to? Me. Okay, and just so I'm clear, I know it ends up with you, but does it go into some LLC or other business entity, or does it go right back into a bank account for Joseph Foreman? It goes into a bank account. You know, it goes into like my merchandise bank account. Okay, whose name is that account in? Mine. So it's Joseph Foreman. You've got a checking account maybe, or a savings account maybe, and then you've got an account that you call a merchandise account. Yes. Okay. For your events that you put on, how does that work financially? Same. Do you rent a venue and then you get some kind of cut from the ticket price, or how does that work? I could do that, but usually I don't like to go into debt. I like to just make a profit. So usually somebody calls me and tells me they'll give me X amount if I come sing on whatever date. Okay. And then they make their profit. We negotiate back and forth until we all happy. They can make some money, they can pay me. So you get some percentage of the ticket. If not a guarantee. I don't know, maybe it's okay. And then if you make some percentage of the income for an event, does that money just go into your personal bank account, Joseph Foreman, or does it go somewhere else? Okay, I think I understand what you're saying. I'm sorry. If you book something the way you just described it, where you negotiated a percentage of the, or flat fee or whatever, somebody says, hey, come and sing, and they agree to pay you. When you get paid, where does that money go? Into Joseph Foreman's personal bank account or some business account? Well, it depends how they pay. Sometimes people pay me in cash. Sometimes they pay me in PayPal. Sometimes they pay me in CashApp, so, you know. But it's initially your money, not some business entity that you own. It doesn't go into Hungry Hustler or some other LLC that you own. I might put it wherever I need it. Well, you can put it wherever you want it, but where does it initially get deposited if it's not cash? Yes, my Hungry Hustler bank account. Oh, okay. So Hungry Hustler does it's your entity for your performances as well as your recordings, is that right? Yes, sir. Okay. So do you have any other than your performances, your merchandise sales and your music sales, do you have any other regular sources of income? Any other business interests or, well, okay, it's not regular, but every now and then I license like a cannabis company that use my image. Okay. So like sometimes I get some money from some cannabis company somewhere. Yeah, and again, that money, I assume that doesn't go into Hungry Hustler, that goes somewhere else. That's Afroman's money, so it goes wherever I need it to be. If I need it in Hungry Hustler, it comes to me. So if I need it in Hungry Hustler, I put it in Hungry Hustler. So you might direct where you want it to go. Yeah, it's going to go to my main bank account, my Hungry Hustler LLC. You mean initially it's going to go there? If it's a check, if I have a check from a cannabis company, I'm going to deposit in my Hungry Hustler LLC. Gotcha. So you've been living in Adams County since around 2007, is that right? I'm just picturing like a Hungry Hungry Hippo game, but it's like lemon pound cakes instead of the little pellets every time I read Hungry Hustler. So you've been living in Adams County since around 2007, is that right? Yes. And during that time, have you had, other than the search warrant that was executed in 2002, during the time you've been in Adams County, have you had any encounters with Adams County law enforcement? What do you mean by encounters? Stop for speeding or search or anything at all where you're having an official interaction with a deputy or a police officer or something. One time I took 2 cars from Angela in the Adams County, they was telling me to give her the cars. I had to give her the cars back. Okay, when was this roughly? Like in 2013. Okay, so just so I can understand, what do you mean you took 2 cars from Angela? Well, I bought her 2 trucks, we got in a fight, and I went over there one night and took them. Okay, so you bought them, but they were in her name? I don't know, I think they were in my name. I don't know whose name, but she was the primary driver, and so like they were saying, those are her cars, that's what she used to function with, so you returned them? Yes. Was there any charges ever filed? No, sir. Somebody just came, they called you up or came to your door and said, hey, you need to give those back. Yeah, somebody called me from the sheriff's station. Do you know who it was? I don't remember. Okay, all right. And you're thinking that might have been around 2013 or so? Yes. You were divorced by then, right? Yes. But you guys are still cooperating and, right. Other than that 2013 incident where somebody told you needed to return those cars to Angela, have you had any encounters with Adams County law enforcement? Like my house getting burglarized, they go around my kitchen window, they like my kitchen window. Everybody kept breaking in my house when I was leaving. So I call up and try to report a burglary. It took like 3 days for somebody to come out and take my report. And he didn't want to give me a copy of the report. I was calling up to the Adams County Sheriff's Station asking them if they, I was consistent checking on the progress. If they found anybody that broke any more house, can I get a copy of the report? And I guess I started that was annoying whoever was answering the phone. So whoever got on the phone and told me if I called up there again, it would get addressed. So that was another encounter. Dang, so they told him to stop calling. They told him to stop asking for a report after he's reporting burglaries at his house. Would you want to live in that county? Would you want to live in that county? That sucks because it looks like he's got beautiful land. But nobody out there is going to help you. These people are not going to help you. And at some point, they're going to come to his house and cut his cameras and all of that. But even at this point, they're not going to help. They're not going to respond and do their jobs. So, and good to see everybody. I'm seeing everybody rolling in. Hey to J Money. Hey to Beta. We've got Melton's Lie-A-Bye in the house. We got Martina Nem, that guy Nick. I saw Factual Lie, Auto Doc, Adventure Aaron, History Homicide. Melton's Lie-A-Bye says, am I in your brain? I don't know. You can get one of those chips implanted and listen to me read depositions. I'll really be in your brain then. We got James Hicks in the building. Ron Wade, good to see you. Also see one of my creator friends here, Lethal Lauren, probably the go-to for all things Blake Lively, Justin Baldani, and also Laura Owens, Hot Mess, the place to go, and covers a bunch of other stuff too, but I think those are Lethal Lauren's legacy cases. So make sure you guys check Lauren out. I'll have to get a link in the description when the stream is over, but you guys should definitely be following Lauren, especially if you like reading motions and depositions, because she's all about that. The second something drops, she probably goes live faster than I do when I see something drop. So thanks for your coverage is what you say to me. Right back at ya. And Chicken Shite says, Kat, you're amazing. Your heart is in the right place. I read this as if it was heart pace. And I was like, I am kind of high energy right now. But thank you, Chicken. Whew, guys. So we're getting into, his experience living here. All right, so he has a tiff with an ex-wife that he's still on good terms with today, where there's someone needs to turn the cars back over, who knows. And now we're getting into, but I've got these burglaries. People keep trying to break into this house. They really like my kitchen window. Maybe because they could see if there's any cake available inside before they decide to break in or not that day. They just love this kitchen window. And nobody's helping him out, even when he makes a call. And it's really not surprising. We were watching some of the body cam footage, and all of these cops are gathered at Afroman's house in August of 2022, but 4 different radio calls come in with other things going on. Drunk guy getting in a fight with their partner. Nobody goes to check on what's going on with drunk Richard. It just seems non-responsive because they're all too busy standing around Afroman's house, looking at his cars, maybe smoking a cigarette, maybe wondering if we know how to count money, and who knows. So, also shout out to KLF in the building. I see Big Nick Starro in the building. Had a great time with your Friday show yesterday. If you guys missed that, check that out. It was a loaded panel all about this case. And you guys already know that that's in the creator playlist in the description. So go check that out. We've also got, let's see Bowlegs in the building, Lady L. We have Kay, how she do it? I was going to say, what's cows? And then I realized what the name was. So here we go, guys. Let's see. He just got done describing this. All right, checking on the progress. He's annoying the person on the phone. They said, stop calling us. Stop calling us when you need something. Don't call us when you need to report and get answers on a crime. And Klingler says, you don't remember when that would have been? He said it was it's going to be before the truck incident. It's going to be probably around 2009 or 10 or something like that. And this was at the Russellville Road? Yes. Okay, so what did the burglars take? Money. That's basically it. They just took some cash. I didn't have a safe at the time. I had just got back from like touring, and I went to a basketball game at North Adams. So while I was over there, they broke in and just took my cash and it was gone. So you reported it, and did you ever get any kind of report or anything from Adams County? No. That's what I needed to for the insurance basically going to reimburse, some of the, whatever. At the time it's been years ago, but whatever was missing, they was going to reimburse it. But they needed like a police report, and that's what I couldn't get. Did you ever get one? No. So I think you said a minute ago you were calling up there, and finally somebody said, if you call again, it will get addressed. Yes. What did you take that to mean? I'm going to kick your ass, or do you? That's a cop hand. Like, don't call up here no more, you got a busted headlight, that's your hint. Okay, so basically you took that to mean stop bothering us. We're not going to do anything more about it. Yes. Okay, so do you know if anybody ever did anybody ever come out and look at well, the guy came out 3 days after I made the call, and he wrote down a few things, and then he didn't give me a report, and he left. All right. Do you remember who that was? No. Do you think it was the Adams County Sheriff's Office? Yes, sir. And was there like a broken window? Was it clearly a breaking and entering? Yes. Well, did you ever get any indication from anybody at all, as to why they didn't follow up and do anything or give you a report? No, the mental threat was all I needed. I got the hint and I left them alone. And you didn't have any like contacts around town or anybody who said, hey, here's what's going on. They're not going to do that because whatever. Any insight at all into why is it like they just didn't know, so they weren't going to do anything, or do you have any idea? Any idea of what? Of who broke in or what they should do about it? Do I have any idea of who broke in my house? No, I guess what I'm trying to ask you is, do you have any idea why Adams County Sheriff's Office didn't follow up and give you some kind of report? Yeah, I have an idea and speculation. Did you learn? Before I get into that, I want to hear that, but did you ever hear from anybody? Gossip, rumor, anything? Hey, they don't like you, or they've got something else going on that they're not going to do. Any other reason? Or is it just pure speculation from your own mind? No, it's not speculation. Another time, me and Angela, we was having an argument, and she came over to my house, and she literally like kicked the door back in. I was trying to avoid a fight with her, and she kicked the back door in, and she wanted to fight and hoop and holler. I didn't, the way they wrote this, hoop and holler. I didn't want to fight, didn't want to punch, none of that. So I called the police. I called the Adams County Sheriff. When they came up, they told me that they didn't have any room in the jail, and they couldn't arrest her for kicking my door in. Okay, and roughly what year would that have been? Man, I don't know. That's going to probably before, a little after, maybe 2016, 17, maybe 2016. Okay, so I want to just put a flag on that. Not the word flag. I just want to put a flag on that for a minute and come back to it. When you and Angela divorced in 2009, did she then move next door, or we was staying at the 1245? So you were at 1245 then? Yes, sir. Okay, so when we divorced, I moved next door. All right, and those are two properties besides each other that you own? Yes, sir. Okay, 2 houses, just separate housing. Right. Okay, so going back to this incident where she kicked your door in, that was at 1299. Right. And you reported it. And were any charges ever filed at all? Did you go ahead and file a charge? Well, she had to go to court about it and everything. Okay, all right, what happened? I forget, she didn't have to do no time or something. It was like some kind of probation, or it was like a warning or something. But you guys were already divorced then? Yes, sir. And you were just living beside each other? Yes. Okay, do you remember what the charge was? No, sir. Was it domestic violence, or was it just vandalism or breaking and entering? I don't remember. She kicked down the door. I didn't want to fight her, so I called the police in the first place. Since she kicked the door in, I was telling them to come get her for kicking the door in. And this is Klingler, and somebody said, the jail's full, we can't come and get her. Right. Well, yeah. He said they couldn't arrest her because the jails are full, or something about the jails are full or too small or something like that. All right. but then they took your information and they ended up pressing charges of some kind. Well, she had to go to court, but she didn't, whatever. Okay, so I think I was in the middle of asking you if you had any idea why they wouldn't give you a police report from that breaking and entering. And then you remembered this incident with Angela breaking the door down. So let me swing back to that question. I guess this was a question. Do you have any information, other than speculation from your own head, about why they didn't want to give you a police report on the breaking and entering or the burglary, whatever it was? Okay, one more time. Ask me one more time, I'm sorry. Yeah, you were on tour. You came back. You went to a basketball game. You came back. Somebody had broken in and stolen cash. You called the sheriff's office and you were trying to get a report so you could file an insurance claim, and you never got a report? Right. And you got the message that, hey, don't bother us anymore. Right. So my question is, did you ever hear anything, rumors or speculation, or somebody who said something that made you think, oh, that's why. That's why they don't want to file a report? So Afroman says, over the years later, people start, I heard stories from a few people about Adams County. I'm from LA, so I don't know where I am, but I heard some stories from some people in Cincinnati about Adams County, but I made my own speculations before I heard those stories. Okay, so do you have a speculation about why they never wanted to give you a police report on this burglary? Okay, taking 3 days to take a police report. Don't want to give me a report. If I kick in someone's door, I'm going to be shot dead. This chick kicks in my door. They don't got no rooms in the jail. There's always room in the jail for me. I don't understand that. So it looked like they just don't want to. It looked like they don't want to serve me because I'm black. So when it's time to arrest me, here come the pistols and all this. But when somebody's doing me wrong, there's no room in the jails, no police report, nothing. So that looks like what it looks like to me, just by action, just by looking at the pattern of action. So, all right, I hear you. Angela, was she raised here? No, her family's from Kentucky. Okay, but she had a family in Adams County, I think you said. Yeah, her brother, they're all from Kentucky. But I think her brother moved up here first, and then his mom kind of moved up, and they all kind of just migrated. A lot of Kentucky people in Ohio. Yeah. So yeah, but he's been here, I don't know how long probably. He probably got here in like 2000, the last part of the 90s, or maybe a little bit earlier than that. And what's his name? Herbert Binge. Binge? Yes, sir. B-I-N-G, question mark, B-E-N-G-E. Now, has she been part of the community around here for a while? Does she work here? Do people know her here? Does she have some identity and some presence here in Adams County? Yes, sir. Where has she worked the most significant places? Well, she's a nurse, and then she's like a cheerleader coach at North Adams. Oh my God, does she know? Does she know Newland's kids? So people know her from, yeah, and where has she been a nurse? In the Adams County Hospital, then some more hospitals in Cincinnati. I don't remember. Okay, is she still working, do you know? Yes, sir. Where does she work now? I don't know. Okay. Do you still have contact with her? Still live next door to each other, I guess? Yes. Does she pay rent to you, or how does that work? No, I let her stay in that house for my children. Okay. And your kids have grown up in Adams County, obviously, right? They've gone to school here? And it just says nodding head. Okay, back to this topic. To finish it up if we can, your encounters with Adams County law enforcement. Any others that we haven't mentioned? Is that just the sheriff's station, or is that like the little Winchester cop and then the Seaman cops, or in Adams County? Well, I guess any of them for now. Yeah, there's this cop in Seaman. I pulled out of McDonald's one time, and I was in one of my blue lowriders, my 93 Cadillac, and my tags were up to date, everything was working, I wasn't breaking no laws, and he pulled me over on 32. And I didn't have nothing out in the car. There was nothing in the car. I had my German Shepherd on the back seat, and she died. I had a German Shepherd back then. He's like, I need to run my dog around your car. Okay, whatever. She was asleep back there, so I guess the dog pounced up on the back passenger window. So she barked at him, and the dog got scared. He ran around the guy's legs, and he fell over in the ditch because the dog tied him up with the leash. And I had to, sit there. Oh, man. Oh, my gosh. The funniest part about that is his dog's just chilling. His dog's just hanging out in the back seat. They didn't do anything to, like, trigger this stop or, like, provoke this dog. And then this guy's own dog winds him up in the leash. Oh my gosh. How is this not? Am I like, listen, I've got to go into the trenches and go back a couple years and see some, like, footage that would be new to me, some content that would be new to me. Has Mr. Joseph Foreman, has Mr. Afroman included this scenario in a video somewhere? Oh my goodness. And he just says, and I had to, like, sit there. Like, so you don't want to, like, ah, man. So he said, and then I had a girl at that hotel in Seaman, and Angie called the hotel. The hotel lady tells Angie, me and Angie are divorced, but she's still trying to mess up new relationships. I'm like, whatever. So the lady tells Angie what room I'm in. Angie comes to Seaman to start a fight. To keep the peace, I call the police. The cop that fell over in the ditch that pulled me over for no reason, he shows up to the hotel. This is a telenova. He's asking Angie if I hit her. So he just shows up and starts asking Angie if this guy that saw me fall on my ass earlier, through no fault of his, oh, is he beating you? Asking if I did something to her, and he's giving her advice of how she can press charges on me when I'm the one that called him in the first place to keep the peace. That maths to me. I've heard that scenario before. So he says that's another encounter I had with, and he's like, okay, all right. Let's see. Mr. Osborne, do you mind if we stop here for a second? Mr. Klingler says, yeah, let's do a short break. And they go back on the record, like, what is this, 8? Right? Yeah, okay. So they come back on the record 11 minutes later. So then Klingler starts questions again. Mr. Foreman, before the break, we were talking about incidents that you have had with Hamilton County law enforcement. This guy is stuck in Hamilton County. That must be where he practices primarily. Excuse me, Adams County, law enforcement. And you mentioned, the first thing you mentioned was a burglary back when. Do you remember whether the person who came out 3 days later to do an investigation, were they from the state crime laboratory? I don't know. The guy who came out said to do the report was from the Adams County Sheriff's Department. Do you remember somebody from the state coming out? Do you remember that it went up? Adams County actually set it up to the state level, and somebody from the state Bureau of Investigation came out to investigate? I don't remember that. I remember him saying he was looking for some fingerprints or something. I remember when he came out to the house, I'm going to try to get some prints or something. He did something while he was there. But I don't remember another agency or another state or anything like that coming out. Okay, did you ever file your insurance report claim? No, because I couldn't get the police report. Okay, so we've talked about that first burglary. We've talked about Angela kicking your door in. We talked about the incident at McDonald's with the Cadillac and the dogs. And we talked about the hotel where Angela found out where you were. Any other run-ins or encounters? Yeah, one time they just popped up at my house looking for Angela's brother. His name was like Mike. I think his name was like Michael Benj. So, I didn't like getting woke up with guns and stuff. But, that was, they was looking for him. They didn't find him. They looked around in the house. He wasn't at my house, and so that was the end of that. When was that? That's gonna be like somewhere between like 17 and like maybe 2019 or something like that. I don't really remember. All right. Do you know why they were looking for Angela's brother? I do not know. Any other encounters that you've had with Adams County law enforcement that you can think of? No, sir. Since 2007? No, sir. All right. Let's talk about the search warrant execution August 21st, 2022. How did you first learn about that? I guess Randy Walters left a copy of the warrant or something with I had a picture of it. I had some form of the warrant. I learned that I got a call that said like the sheriff was like running all around my house when I was coming back from Chicago. Okay, who called you? Lynn Widener. Lynn? That's Angie's mom. She lives next door to Angie. Okay, so how do you spell her name? Lynn, and then Widener is Wiedner. You were like driving back from Chicago? Yes. And Lynn Widener called, and what'd she say? She said the sheriff's department is at your house. They're all around. And did you say anything in return? I guess she thought I was there. She didn't want me to be sleeping and not open the door and then, get beat up or something. She's like, hey, you need to get up and open the door. I let her know I was out of town. I'm in Chicago. I'm driving back. Okay, any more of that conversation? Did you ask her to do anything, or did she say anything else? I told her, I hung up. Like, Angie was beeping on the other line, so I hung up with Miss Lynn. I just started talking to Angie. Okay, so Angie was calling. What did Angie say? Just a whole bunch of, they want it in my safe. I don't know. She was saying how they wanted it in my safe, and I don't remember everything. So Angie wasn't living there at the time? No. So do you know how she got involved with the search? I mean, why was she see it and come over, or what happened? Yeah, she come over and was wondering what was going on. Okay, do you know, was she in the house at all? Yes. How'd she get in the house? Well, she's walking in with Brian and the rest of the department. Well, she walked in with them? Yeah, she walked up and walking around with everybody. Okay, and do you know when she called, was she in your house at that time? I can't pinpoint. They was all over. They was all walking around doing whatever. Okay, so she was walking around doing whatever with them. All right. And do you remember her saying something about they want in your safe? Yes. And do you remember what you said in response? Did you say anything in response? Yeah, at first I was like, no. At first I said no. I said no because I didn't want my ex-wife having my combination to my safe, and I didn't want to do that. Then Miss Lynn called me and she said, and she told me that to let them in. She was like, if, they might take your safe down to the station, open it up, and then put something in there if they can't find nothing. So after I thought about it, I thought it might be in my best interest to give up the combination and let them go ahead and look in the safe. Okay, so that's what you did? Yes. Who did you give the combination to? Angela Foreman. Did you talk to any of the officers on the phone that night? Yeah. Who did you talk to? Randy Walters. And how did that happen? Did he call you, or did Angie put him on the phone, or? She had me FaceTime and she handed him the phone. Okay, and what was that conversation about? I asked him if I was under arrest. He said no. I asked him if he was pressing some charges. He said he was going to take whatever he had to the prosecutor to see if they wanted to press some charges. Then I asked him if he would put my door back on the hinge, and he cracked this sarcastic little smirk, and he started waddling his head, and he said, I'm not required to do that. And then I told him, thank you, and that was the end of the conversation. Okay, you wanted to talk to him, I guess? No, he wanted to talk to me, I guess. What did he ask you? From what you told me, it sounded like you said, am I under arrest? He said he's taken it to the prosecutor, and you asked to put the door back on. What did he ask you? I guess he was just letting me know that they had whatever they had. They was going to take it to the prosecutor, and the prosecutor would be in touch with me to inform me if I was being charged with anything. Okay, so did you have any idea what they found or what they had that they were going to take to the prosecutor? Yeah, I guess they had had Joey's vape pen, maybe some CBD, and, I probably got like blunts and, little piles of like enough weed to roll a joint all over the house or whatever. So I guess he had whatever he had. And he was saying he was going to take whatever they found around my house to the prosecutor's office and see if the prosecutor was going to prosecute me. Did you ask him, why are you guys doing this? What are you looking for? Or anything like that? He said he was leaving a search warrant that described everything. So he left a copy of the search warrant? Yes, or something. I had a picture of it. I had something to refer to. Okay. Did you talk to anybody else that evening while you were still in the room? No, sir. What time of day was this, or night, roughly, if you remember? Roughly 6, 7 o'clock in the evening. It wasn't dark? Well, what time I talked to Randy Walters? Are you asking me what time they came and raided my house? Yeah, if you know what time they came. It's going to be like a rough 6:30, 7 o'clock. Okay, so you spoke with, listen, Widener, I guess it's supposed to be Lynn Widener. You spoke with Angie and you spoke with Randy Walters. Anybody else? Did you speak with anybody else before you got home? Shaking head. And then his question says no. You've got to say a word for the court reporter. Oh, no. Okay, thank you. So what were you thinking when you're driving home and you learn that they're busting into your house and executing a search warrant? Well, they probably think I was growing weed in my little garages or something like that. Well, nothing like that had ever happened before? You never had a search warrant executed on that home before? I mean, they popped up one day looking for Mike. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I get harassed in traffic, I figured since I live there, they'll probably start harassing me. I don't know. They popped up looking for Mike and now this was going on, so... Well, you said you usually get harassed in traffic. What do you mean? Like the cop from Seaman that pulled me over after I pulled out of McDonald's. It's usually that type of stuff. Well, you mentioned one time like that. Not in Adams County, just in my life. Okay, gotcha. So when you got home, and what did you see or observe when you got home that night? Just like a lot of gnats and insects in the house. 2 doors busted, cameras ripped up. You know what I'm saying? Well, I don't know because I wasn't there, so that's why I'm asking. Okay, well, that's what I saw. Okay, so what 2 doors were they? The 2 doors. It's a little Amish building I put on the side of my house. Okay, and the door to that was busted? The doors, plural, 2 of them. Okay, what's in the little Amish house? Nothing. I don't know whether to make it a bedroom or, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people come over to my house and they interrupt me when I'm recording with other people. So I was going to have one of my buddies sit there and go out to the gate and see if it was some kind of, if they had something I needed or not. If not, then just tell them I'm busy, call me later. So is this how they gain entrance to your house? Through the Amish house? Yes. Do you have a front door that's not the Amish house? This is the one that, what's his name, was trying to kick. Yes. Did they come through there? No, sir. They just left that. Yeah, they came through the little Amish extension on my house. Okay. Do you have any idea why they didn't just break down the front door? I don't. Okay, because he couldn't kick it. He couldn't kick it. And he didn't use the ram. And then he walked around and saw that his entire squad had already gone in through the side Amish door. Okay, so the question here from Klingler. So there were 2. Why would they break down 2 doors? I don't know, you'd have to ask them. Okay, but one would have been enough to get into the house, you're saying? Yes, sir. Okay, so you noticed the 2 doors were broke. Were they, knocked off the hinges, both of them? Yes, sir. And then you said something about cameras. What did you notice on your... You have security cameras, right? Yes, sir. What did you notice about those? They'd been ripped up from the wall and, they wasn't working. Okay, so you mean somebody had actually, torn them down or what? Yeah, Lisa Phillips cut them. Her and the Kenny Dick dude and Randy Walters, between the 3 of them, sit there and cut my cameras and yanked it out of the wall and had my cameras messed up where they couldn't work. How do you know that they did that? Because I was watching them. And you could see they was all talking and conspiring. And then you can see when Lisa cut it, the footage cuts. I got up to the minute where she was working on it, and she finally got it to cut. And then it was all on the couch. So you could see where they ripped it out of the wall and just left it. Okay, now you were watching it later on could you see it that night from your phone or something? I seen it that night from my phone. I was watching it all the time. Oh, okay. This sounds like news to the attorney. Oh, Lord. As soon as you get the call from Lynn, you could start watching it? Yes, sir. So on the way home, you were watching it? Yes. Okay. So you kind of were seeing it as it happened? Yes, sir. Okay. Were you driving or were you in a van or something? How was that? Yeah, I was driving. I was in my truck. Anybody else in the truck with you? Joey. Okay. Lambert. Yeah. How many cameras did you have that were linked to your phone that you could watch? From 11 to 13. I'm not sure how many. Either 11 or 13. And how many of those were cut and torn down? All of them. Well, once Lisa cut the main thing that runs all of them, they all went blank. Okay, then let's see. So after the wires were cut, there's no more recording anywhere? Besides what they had on their body cameras. Okay, so you got home, you saw 2 doors knocked down, you saw cameras torn up. Did you notice anything else? I was just worried. I didn't like I hate when a whole bunch of gnats get in the house. Sometimes the gnats aren't bad, but sometimes if you got some light on and they just come to it, and that was a bad night. That was a bad night. Anything else in your house that was disturbed or destroyed that you noticed? I think they was tugging on my safes. They don't sit upright no more. They sit all bent and forward. And it was some baseboards in my closet, like, torn off the wall. Well, we watched that. We watched the guy, we could see, raindrops of sweat dripping from the guy, trying to pry the floorboards. But, it wasn't that much destruction, I had to let them in my key box. I had to prove that I didn't have nothing in my key box. So I gave them permission to tear my key box open. But I guess the only destruction was just the gate doors and my camera system. That was the primary destruction. Tell me about the key box. There are keys in there that they wanted? Yes. Keys to what? Probably the cars in my garage. Okay, so you just let them open that box? Yes, sir. And you said you gave them the safe combination? Yes, sir. And what did you find in the safe? What did they find in the safe, I should say? You gotta ask them, What did you keep in the safe? Sometimes I keep my jewelry in the safe. If I got some cash, I'll put it in the safe. But that's usually what burglars take when they come to my house. They want some cash. They don't really mess with the jewelry, but they want cash. So I put some cash in the safe. Okay, do you know whether anything was missing from the safe when you got there? Nothing was missing. I don't remember nothing was missing from the safe. So during the search, well, you let me back up. The search started, I think you said 6:30, something like that. Yes, sir. When did it end? Do you know when they were gone? I can get a real time later, but it's probably going to be around 9:30. I don't think they was there at 10 o'clock. Okay, what time did you get back? I don't know. It was that night, though. Now, your two children, they were at the house next door, 45, right? Yes, sir. 1245? Were they there the whole night, as far as you know? Yes, sir, they were. You didn't see them walking around the house with Angie or... No, sir. The officers? And then do you know, was Lynn watching them when Angie was over there? I don't know. Did you have any conversations with any of the Adams County officers after they executed this warrant? No, sir. And you mentioned Randy Walters while they were at your house. But other than that, have you talked with anybody at all from Adams County? No, sir. Have you ever heard or learned anything about the results of the warrant from the prosecutor's office or anything like that? They gave me some of my money back, so I guess I figured they was dropping the charges or not pressing any, had made some kind of mistake or something. Okay, what money are you talking about that they gave you back? The partial amount of the money that they gave me back was the money that was taken from my house, counted by Brian Newland, minus $400 that got stolen. So where was that money? Do you know where that $400 went? Yeah, I know some of it was in his jacket pocket. Was in this jacket pocket. I did the Red Rocks with Snoop and Wiz Khalifa, and I forgot about they gave me the last little balance that was in cash, and it was in that suit pocket. I know they got that, and they got some money from my office room in the front lower part of the house. I had some merchandise money on the shelves. Sometimes with the cash, I want to make sure some of the stuff, I don't want all the money to get mixed up. So I had a little, sometimes if the money is low and I'm still counting it or whatever, I'll have my hat money right here and my t-shirt money right here, blah, 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 so I don't get them mixed up. So they took the money that was laying in the office, and then they took the suit. They took the money that was in my suit upstairs. Okay, and you know that because the money was missing when you got home? No, they told me they was taking the money, They took my cash. So they told you that while you were driving back, you mean? Or when did they tell you that? Randy told me that. He was like, yeah, we're taking the cash, we're taking the vape pens. Okay, all right. So he told you we're taking the cash. Right. Did he tell you where he found it, or did you just figure that out? It didn't matter. I didn't, I kept it at a minimum. Did he tell you how much they took? No, sir. Okay, so since we're talking about this money thing, let's just finish this up. So how did you first learn how much money they had taken? Well, was there a report, or did you just know, or what? I'm forgetting the numbers over the years, but they said it was this amount, and it was written on the bags that it was this amount. Written on what? Bags? Yeah, the bags that they kept the money in. Okay. The bags that Brian Newland puts it in after he counts it. Did you see those bags at some point? Yes. Where did you see them? In the interview room at the Adams County Sheriff's Department. Okay, now just so I'm clear on where we're at here, when did that interview take place? I don't know in particular, I can find out. Why were you being interviewed? I wasn't being interviewed. My money was getting returned back to me. Okay, all right. And she wanted to return it back to me in the interview room where they had cameras so she could prove that she was giving me all my money back. Who's she? Whoever the lady is that gave you your money back at the Adams County Sheriff. All right, so that was like a few days later, a few weeks, do you know? Yeah, about a couple months. Okay. It was a long time. It was a long time just to be holding somebody's money without a charge or something. Okay, so somebody called you up and said, "Hey, we want you to come down and give you back your money." And you said, "No, I had to hire an attorney to call them and ask them when I could come get my money back." All right. Was your attorney there then when you got the money back? Yes, sir. Okay, so they took you into this interview room where there's cameras and stuff, I guess, and your attorney was there in the same room? Yes, sir. And so just tell me what happened. She came in or what? Yeah. The lady says, "We're going to go back here. I got to count all this out to you so the cameras is there. And, we do this so people can't say that we didn't pay them back, blah, blah, blah." Okay, yes, ma'am. We went in the camera room. I had Fox News with me, and everybody was looking at the amount and everything. You mean Fox News was in the room too? Yes, sir. So they let them in? Yes, sir. Okay, they had the cameras going? Yes, sir. All right. So you had called Fox News to come and record this? Yes, sir. Why did you do that? Well, just in case I get beat up or shot, hung in my cell like Epstein or something like that. You had your attorney there too, right? Yes, sir. Okay, but you wanted the press there too? Yes, sir. Okay, so you're all in this room and what happened? She started counting up the money in front of the cameras to verify it's all there, and then I got it back, and then she realizes it's $400 short. How much did she actually have, do you remember? I don't. And what did she say or do to indicate that it was $400 short? She said it was $400 short. Oh, so she just said, "Oh, we're $400 short?" Well, we counted it. It was supposed to be a certain amount. I had a certain amount. My attorney had a certain amount. We all counted it. We took turns counting it. And it was $400 short. She admitted it was $400 short. Okay, did you have any idea at the time how much they had taken? Yes, they had the actual number that they said. That they said? Right. You know what that was because they had it right there? Yeah, between the report with talking to Randy, I had the amount that they took. Okay, it was whatever it was. I don't know the amount now, but it was whatever it was. So when you went there that day, you were expecting to get a certain amount of money back. You knew how much you were supposed to get? Yes, sir. All right. And then she's counting it out and she says, "Oh, we're $400 short." Right. What happened then? She apologized for it being short. And then she said that something to the effect of Brian Newland counted it. And then, I don't know. I guess two cops were supposed to count it to make sure the other guy didn't miscount or something. Whatever. It was $400 short. Okay, so what happened next that day sitting in that room? Well, we all realized at the same time that, there was some money missing, it's $400. $400 missing. Cops come to my house, tore out my cameras, and then stole my money. Where's the $400? So then that whole can of worms was opened. Okay, so when you left that day, what was the plan? Did they just say, "Hey, sorry you lost the $400. Did they say, "We're going to look into this," or what? Yeah, they said they was going to look into it. Okay, and your lawyer was there? Yes. Did your lawyer say anything to them? Yeah. She was saying how, how do you miscount, $400 even? This, that, and the other. How do you not know how to count? Exactly. How do you not know how to count, What are you doing handling people's money and you don't know how to count? That was in there. Okay, so when you left that day, they said they were just gonna look into it somehow? Yes, sir. Get some kind of answer, right? Yes, sir. And then what did you hear next on that issue? Well, the sheriff called their other sheriff homies, and they investigated themselves and said it was just a miscount. I love this answer. He says, and what did you hear next on that issue? Well, the sheriff called their sheriff homies, and they investigate themselves and said it's just a miscount. It's just a miscount. So they had some other sheriff office investigation? Yes, sir. I think it's the Claremont County Sheriff. And how did you learn about the results of this investigation? Did your lawyer tell? Don't answer that. Did somebody from the sheriff's office call you? No, sir. What explanation did you get for, well, what did you learn? What did you learn the results of the Claremont County Sheriff's Office investigation were? Well, they told the news that it was a miscount. What did you understand that to mean? A miscount, like where, when, what? And this is kind of important because in the motions right before trial, there was some back and forth where it seemed like the plaintiff wanted to act incredulous. They wanted to play dumb when the defense is saying that they didn't get a copy of this report from Michael Robinson. And so they're opposing Michael Robinson being called as a witness and to the admission of this report. I think the report ended up working beautifully for the defendant because that's the report where, oh, we looked at 66 other envelopes of evidence in the evidence room at Adams County Sheriff's Office, and 7 of them had discrepancies. So like 11% of the time we can't count. Like, of this sample size of 66. So I think that ended up working beautifully for the defendant, but still, disclosure issue. And here, this is back on September 3rd of 2024 is when this deposition's taking place. And Afroman keeps having to lay it out. Like, the reason I know about this investigation is because they told the news. So why is this sheriff's office, oh no, this is short. Oh my gosh, we have to do an independent investigation. Let's get the homies to do it, and let's make sure we go to the news. Because it seems to me like the sheriff's more concerned not just with the oversight and figuring out what happened, and maybe figuring out if they need to correct something, but they're more concerned with the image. If somebody finds out that they made a mistake, and it's like they're trying to get to the news first. So they're the ones running and telling the news, not the person who's missing this money. We did this investigation. And it's just crazy. It's crazy. So they go and tell the news it was a miscount. That's how Afroman hears about it. What did you understand that to mean? A miscount? Like where, when, what? Well, you tell me. It was just a lame excuse for stealing money. They just said it was a miscount. That was their excuse for the money missing. And then Klingler says, like maybe when they first took the money, they miscounted how much they took, or did you have any understanding of what that meant? He said, no, I didn't. Did you ever see any written report of the Claremont County investigation? I haven't. Do you know if one exists? No, sir, I'm sure one does. Did you ever ask for it? No, sir. Why didn't you ask for it? I might get addressed. Well, so you had a lawyer, right? So your lawyer. So what he's doing here, if you just tuned in, earlier in this deposition, he was describing interactions with the Adams County Sheriff's Office. And I have these burglaries at my house. They always seem to want to break in through my kitchen window and come take this cash. And every time I report it, because I need a police report for an insurance claim so I can get reimbursed, they never want to give me a report. Oh, well, did you find out why they would never give you a report? Well, I kept calling to the point where they told me, if you keep calling, it's going to be addressed. So now he's taking that and he's recalling that same issue when he's being asked, well, why didn't you go out of your way to ask for this side story investigation? Well, I might get addressed. Well, so you had a lawyer, right? So your lawyer, I was in between lawyers. Like, she helped me get my money back, but after she got the money back, that was kind of like, that's where we parted. So I was in between. I was shopping for an attorney at the time. Okay, theoretically, you could have had her or some other attorney call up a sheriff's office and say, we want to see a written report, right? Yeah, I could have. You could have called them yourself and said, I'd like to see that written report. Yes, sir. But you didn't do that. I was going to. I was going to do it my way. I believe my money was taken, so I was going to get me another attorney and do it as soon as I could. But I couldn't do it right then with her because she wanted some money from me, and I felt like I was the victim. I got the police over here stealing my money, then I got to pay you to go prove that they're over there stealing my money. So I was in between. I was trying to find me somebody to represent me. And so I couldn't, I wasn't going to call up the sheriff department, no. Okay, well, did you ever have an attorney try to get that for you? No, sir. Why not? Because I know you stole my money and I don't have to talk to a sheriff about him stealing my money. I just want to, take it to court and just prove the fact that he stole my money. So are you doing that? Yeah, that's what this is all about. Okay, so how do you know it wasn't just a miscount at the beginning and remember, the counterclaim is active at this point in time back in September of 2024. So Klingler says, okay, so how do you know it wasn't just a miscount at the beginning when they took your money from your house? How do you know they didn't just somehow put $400 more than they actually took? How do you know he didn't steal it? That's a great answer. And then Klingler says, well, I'm asking you. You don't know, do you? Afroman says, yeah, I know. You don't miscount $400. Well, what evidence do you have that they didn't miscount and that you don't have all the money back that they took? What evidence do you have of that? Afroman says, the lady, he's in charge of counting the money, and the lady said he's in charge of counting that money and putting it in the bag and writing those numbers on there. And it wasn't on there. It was live on Fox News. That money is gone. You don't miscount $400. So other than the fact that there's a certain amount written on these envelopes, do you have any other evidence that somebody stole $400? It's been a long time since I've seen those numbers. But in due time, I can prove that he took my money. How are you going to prove it? As the proceeding goes along. I can't prove it right here in a question, this, that, right now in the next 5-10 seconds, but I will. Okay, but as you sit here right now, you don't have proof that $400 were stolen from you. I got footage of Fox News Live where the lady admits the money is $400 short. And you were there in the room when she said that? Yes, sir. Okay, other than that, because that's not enough apparently. Other than that, you don't have any evidence that you actually are $400 short. Yeah, I do have some evidence. What is it? My cameras was cut off. So what took place while my cameras was cut off? Okay, so you're saying while your cameras were cut off, they could have stolen $400. Who knows? Whatever. Where is it at? But you don't know that for sure, right? I know they was in my house. I know they cut off my cameras. I know I'm $400 short, Well, there's a discrepancy between what they first wrote down that they took and what they actually returned to you, right? Afroman says, yes, $400 missing. Okay, any other evidence that you haven't already given me today that you think proves that you're still, to this day, $400 short? Afroman says, no, for right now, that's it. Cameras cut off, lady at the jail admitting it, footage blurred, police footage blurred, $400 missing. Oh yeah, and Brian Newland is known for stealing money from other people in traffic stops. There's other people saying he stole money from them in traffic stops. Who's saying that? I can get that name to you. I don't remember the name, but there's another guy he stole money from. And you know that because somebody told you that? Yeah, his sister called me and talked to me. He had a case going on and whatever. Brian stole his money. And, when they found out that Brian stole his money, they started negotiating and dropping and reducing the charges and shut the case down. Oh. You don't remember this guy's name? No. Did you say his sister? Yes, sir. Do you remember her name? I can get it for you. Okay, if you would give that to your lawyer, that would be helpful. And do you know whether any kind of report was ever made about this Mr. Newland stealing money from this other person? Are you saying it was all shut down and so there's no record? No, there should be plenty of record. You, in some of your postings, you accuse at least one of the officers of being a hard drug addict or a hard drug user. Yes. Do you remember that? Yes. Who was that? Brian Newland. And what evidence do you have of that allegation? Well, I just had a person that knew him, that used to grow up with him. They said he used to party, drink lean and codeine. I forget the other stuff, but What's lean? That's I think it's a Texas thing the Texans do. I think they put something in there. Jesus Christ, I don't drink lean, but it's some kind of drink. It's like, I forget what they put in it. Codeine, I think they put codeine in like Kool-Aid or something, and they drink it. They call it lean. So somebody told you that Brian Newland used to drink lean and drink what else? Lean. I forget some of the other drugs they said he did. But you know, they said he used to party with everybody. Then all of a sudden he became a sheriff and started busting everybody he used to party with. And who was it that told you this? Stephanie Chambers, I think her name is. Now, how do you know Stephanie Chambers? Just football games. Her son plays at Manchester, I think, and my kids play at North Adams. She works at McDonald's. Just bumped into her in Adams County here and there. And it says Plaintiffs Exhibit number 1 was marked for identification. Mr. Foreman, you've been handed what's been marked as Exhibit 1 to your deposition. Do you recognize this document? Yes. What is it? It's a post I put up of Brian Newland rapping in a car. Wait, that video is Brian Newland rapping? Oh my god, is that still up? Was it on his Instagram? Let's see. Oh gee, Afroman. Because we saw the still frame. Remember when they pulled that up in court? It was just a still frame of like a story style. Oh my god, is it really him rapping? Instagram, OG Afroman. Let's see if that is still up. Oh my gosh. There might be a lot of videos to go backwards through. Let's see. There's one of him holding the kid. And hopefully, if, like, the freeze frame... Oh, it's got to sign in. Hold on. Okay, honestly, this would probably be easier for me to sign in my phone, record the video, and then bring it up on the PC. Oh my god, it wants me to verify everything. But this is worth it. I thought this was extra funny when I realized that, you know, he was calling Brian Newland a failed rapper. Alright, what is... Let's see. Send me this code. I'm gonna be so sad if I don't see it. Yeah, Medita Finn says Afroman needs to start a podcast. I want to hear more of his stories. Okay, I don't know if it's just being slow, but it's supposed to send an Instagram verification code to my phone. So, and I'm not getting it to my phone. I don't know, anytime I've ever tried to use Instagram on a browser, it's been not a great experience. All right, let's see if I can just find it on my phone. And this was 2024, so it would have been posted before this deposition. Got a lot of uploads. Okay, this looks like it's 2025. Oh my gosh, he has so many videos. Yes, called him a wannabe Eminem. Yeah, why is it the one video they didn't play in court? Hey, Judy, good to see you. Guys, I'm going to be going on with Judy on Tuesday. I got to get the link and share that with you guys once it's up. I'm really excited for that. We're going to be talking about Afroman. And now I'm going to be armed with this deposition stuff, so we can talk about this stuff too, because this is kind of... I like his answers to things. So there's that part that I like about it. But there's also some crazy, like, even the story with, oh, this dog, this officer trips on his leash. It's humorous, but then the next line is, he's the one getting profiled after he calls the police at this hotel. So what starts as a funny story turns into not so good. Okay, I'm still in 2025 with these videos. How much? He's got all these videos. He's like autographing fans' cleavage, we'll say. You know, in case you want to go find that on your own time. But it's a lot of scrolling. And quite frankly, like, these videos, he does not seem to be talking about, like, the officers through this whole span of 2025. All right, this looks like we are finally in 2024. I'll be so sad if he took it down. You know what? Let's do this interlude while I'm sitting here and looking for it. I'm going to put on some of the body cam footage. We'll call it an intermission. We'll do Afroman trial. We left off at 6:27, 6 hours, 27 minutes into the body cam. And that'll be good for anyone that hasn't seen any of the footage. It's footage we have not yet watched on this channel. We'll be continuing from where we left off. But it'll give you like the lay of the land and what these knuckleheads were doing while they executed the search warrant. So this is where we left off. We just got to this vantage point. And I'm going to be here scrolling to see if we can find Brian Newland rapping.
Leave it there for now, Lisa, because we're going to come back to one person flag. All right, so we're done with this. Let's see where Violence is now.
Good God, my glove fell apart.
We're moving up here, and she gave us the code to say, I got the next one.
Oh no, no. Go one-handed. This one needs to breathe anyways, it's probably what broke.
We can work on that bathroom in that room. Let me photograph them. And
They already get the kitchen?
not yet. You want to look and see what that is while I'm taking pictures?
Cosmetic products. Get me a drink. Put me out of the car real quick. Well, hey, Smiley. You still out here? That's broke. 2116. Die in there. It's hot. 2117. Huh? 2117.
Oh my god, I think I found it. Oh my god.
If I can get this glove on my sweaty hand, I'll be doing great. Good God.
room? Is this a safe in that room?
No, the same thing.
Okay, whoever, do you want to look at that while I've got it? Okay, so he's lip syncing, but I think it's still hilarious. And just imagine the Brian. Oh, I'm behind Moff Hawk. So just imagine the voice we heard from Brian Newland on the stand, what he was complaining about, the things he said he humiliated, embarrassed him, and his voice. And then let's watch this video. This is going to be a time. Let's see. Oh, hold on. It says Google Drive is still processing it. So let's play this for a second. Okay, it's ready. Okay. So this is Brian Newland in his bro form, I guess we'll call it. Let's see. Which was the video of it? Okay.
On forgetting what he wrote down, the whole crowd goes so loud. He opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's choking now. Everybody's choking now. The clock's running out.
So I don't know, someone must have sent him that story. Just like compare that to who we saw on the stand. Just compare that to who we saw on the stand. What we saw on the stand. Picture this in relation to Mr. Foreman saying in this deposition, well, I heard he, you're asking me how I heard he did hard drugs. Well, people came to me and said he'd be at these parties, he'd be partying hard, and he would drink lean, and now he became a sheriff and wants to bust all of his friends. It checks out. I can get that impression from that little bit of a video, just to say. So there we go. There we go. And that's compared to... Can we play like a clip of him on the stand as a refresher? And Afroman. Just a quick look at him smiling. In case anybody forgot his voice or his punchable face.
Been said to me, it's been shared, been sent to me. I've had people make comments at games while in the store. It's just, there's so much stuff's happened, I don't even remember half of it.
So,
like, okay. So there we go. Also, shout out to everyone chipping into the coffers today, because I bet YouTube will not like that M&M. Thank you to Mavka for saying thank you for the Hustler magazine recommendation. I subbed. Well, gotta recommend Hustler after that amazing parody law case that went all the way up to SCOTUS. I'm a fan. And Don't F with Justice says, have never laughed this hard while doing chores. Oh, and this is before we played... Why am I stuck behind the comments today? This is before we even did the video. But now we know. Now we know what that still image with the caption where he's calling him a fake rapper is. Fake wannabe rapper. Oh, my goodness. My goodness. Yeah, Eminem should sue him for defamation, using of likeness, false light. So, just the whole time. All right, let me take a sip of this. Let's start reading again. Man, see what people missed out on if they didn't decide they wanted to hear a Afroman deposition on a fine Saturday afternoon, evening. All right, so we've got Mr. Foreman, you get this exhibit 1. It's a post I put up of Brian Newland rapping in a car. And there's a date down near the bottom, April 6, 2023. Oh, that could have helped me find the post so much easier if I read one more line. So is that the date of the post? You tell me, I guess so. Well, what platform was this on? Do you know? It looks like Instagram. Instagram, okay. And do you know where this picture came from? Some video somebody sent me. It was just somebody on social media sent me. It said, hey, look at Brian Newland trying to rap, before he was a cop, back when they used to party. Do you know for a fact this is Brian Newland? It kind of looked like it. I looked at the picture. It kind of looked like it. Who sent you the video? I don't remember. Like I say, somebody on Instagram. Well, was it Stephanie Chambers? No, sir. Somebody else? Yes, sir. So how do you think somebody whose name you can't remember now came to send you a video of Brian Newland? Because that's how social media works. That's what people do. Hey, have you seen this? And sometimes those links are phishing links, so don't just be all willy-nilly to click those messages from strangers. But that's just how it works. Like, oh my God, I see that you're talking about this guy, Brian Newland. Look at this guy. And then you send a video of it. And then Afroman says, well, I guess she was driving in the car, or I don't know. I forget what it was. I think she was driving in the car while she was filming and rapping or something. She being who? The lady that sent me the video. Okay, so it was a lady? Yes, sir. And you don't remember her name? No, it was like in Messenger. She sent me like Facebook Messenger. She sent me a video in Messenger and she was like, hey, look, I got a video of Brian Newland trying to rap like Eminem back in the day or something like that. So this is apparently somebody who knew Brian Newland, or do you even know that? I don't know. It was just a funny clip of him rapping. Okay, so your post here says from OG Afroman. Is that your name on Instagram? Yes, sir. And you wrote, baby making Brian Newborn Newland couldn't make it in hip-hop. He used to do hard drugs. He snitched on all his friends, then joined the sheriff department. Now he steals money from traffic stops, bogus raids, and from the Adams County with the K's sheriff evidence room under the camouflage of law enforcement. That's the first sentence. What does baby making Brian Newborn Newland mean? I wanted to capitalize on the publicity of my house getting raided, so I had to make it entertaining when I talked about him. So I gave him these little Donald Trump, an improvement on Donald Trump names. Donald Trump name ain't that long, so I made up these little names to kind of make the viewer laugh a little bit and become interested in the story. So that's a name I gave Brian. Okay, is there any significance to baby making? Why did you choose that as a funny name? Well, there was rumors of him having like 9 or 10 kids, so it was like, rumors? Yes, sir. Do you have any? I don't know how many kids he has. Everybody that I talk to claims they know him. They say he has like a whole bunch of kids. You don't know that for a fact? No, sir. He used to do hard drugs. We talked about that, right? We've already talked about your evidence of that. Yes, sir. From Stephanie Chambers? Yes, sir. Anybody else? Any other evidence? I heard some other people say that, but like, she's the one solid person that, like everybody else, they say it and it would be quick. I've heard it at least 5 or 6 different times from 5 or 6 different people. Do you remember any of their names? I don't know, but look, people was telling me how Brian Newland used to party and do drugs in Manchester, and they say the other guy used to do dope too, the Randy Walters. They say Randy Walters used to do dope, and they say he used to be the chief of Manchester or something like that. I don't know, something they should have shut down Manchester in some kind of way. He magically popped up on the Adams County Sheriff Department. So that's the wife guy. Not the wife who testified, but the guy who doesn't remember or doesn't know if Afroman effed his wife. He snitched on all his friends. What do you mean by that? Well, he partied with people, got high with them, cleaned up, joined the sheriff department, and had a lot of information on people. And then, would go back and bust people. This is what I hear. He'd go back and bust people that he used to party with. Would it be fair to say these are rumors? Stephanie said it, and, some other people that I don't remember. I'd be in a hurry in Walmart or something. They shake my hand. Yeah, Brian used to do this and that. But I didn't have time for it. Then something, I didn't know him, but this is what I've heard. Imagine going to Walmart and seeing Afroman now after all of this. Like, everybody's probably going to try to shake his hand. You don't have any particular reason to think that it's not true, that it's true or not true, right? Well, it's more entertaining if it's true, and I could probably make some money and capitalize on it if it's true. And they wanted to cite this line in trial because I guess their argument would be he knew it was true and he did it anyway because he wanted to make the money off of it. Well, it sounds like your main concern was, like you said, entertainment value. Yes, sir. Your main concern wasn't whether or not it was true. Well, like the lady had me raise my hand and swear to tell the truth. Somebody say that they had to stand on it. They had witness to it. Then, I'm not saying I was standing there handing him a cup of lean, watching him sip it or watching him. I didn't watch him snort coke or do nothing. But, there's a lady that says he did. Right. And that was good enough for you to post it? Yeah. Since he stole my money and I needed to make some money back, I'll do everything creative to help generate, that money back. Whether it's true or not? No. Well, she has a witness, So one thing I do know is he stole my money. So that's true. So I'm going to rap until I get that money back. Right. And you're going to use entertainment value or whatever you can do to get your money back? Since I have freedom of speech, yes, I am. And you didn't really care that much about whether it was true that he used hard drugs or snitched on his friends because your main concern was entertainment value to try to get your money back? Well, I do care and I want to make some money. You care about whether or not it's true? Hey, I asked her. I said, is this really true? Will you vouch for this? She said yes. Even the police, the court system, use a witness. So if a witness is good enough for the court system, a witness is good enough for me, especially after my $400 is missing that he took and I'm trying to make that back. You didn't swear her in, right? No, I don't have that kind of authority. Right, so you don't know if she was telling you the truth or not. No, sir. And then I guess there's no such thing as perjury or lying in court just because you're sworn in. And then the next sentence of Exhibit 1 here, you wrote, he can't write his own raps, that's why he becomes Adams County Sheriff, so he could steal money from a real rapper. Baby making Brian Newborn Newland t-shirts on sale, www.ogafroman.com. Did I read that correctly? Yes, sir. Did you sell any t-shirts like that? Yes, sir. Do you have any idea how many? No, sir. Do you know how many followers you have on Instagram? 196,000. Mr. Klingler, let's mark Exhibit 2. You've been handed Exhibit 2 to your deposition, Mr. Foreman. Do you recognize this document? Yes, sir. Is this an Instagram post? No, this looks like a Facebook post. And it looks like you made the post on September 3rd, 2023. Is that right? That's what it looks like. So in the first sentence of your post on September 3rd, 2023, you wrote, good morning, baby making Brian Child molesting new baby mama newborn Newland, parentheses, Brian Newland, close parentheses. That's funny, isn't it? You think that's funny? That's why you're laughing? Yes. To sell records and t-shirts and make back the money Brian stole from me. I tried to make a humorous little title for his name. Okay, so child molesting newborn mama baby newborn Newland. That's humorous in your mind? It's better than getting physical and violent. For what I was trying to do, sell records, yes, that's humorous. So I assume, you tell me if I'm wrong, that you don't have any evidence that Brian Newland is a child molester. Here again, I have a witness that said he had sex with lots of underage girls. Okay, and who is that witness that you have? Stephanie Chambers. And then your next sentence says, if you pay me back the money you stole from me, I won't tell the world about your pedophile Pilgrim family. And what's that supposed to mean? Pedophile Pilgrim family. It's, from what I understand, his brother was the chief of Peebles. And so when I said family, that's a humorous exaggeration. But I was referring to his brother being the chief of Peebles and being arrested for sending, I guess, inappropriate pictures to minors. And what's your source of information about William Newland? It's all on Google and the internet and the news and everything. He was the chief of Peebles, and he was sending inappropriate pictures to a minor or something to that effect. You can Google it and pull it up. On this post, down near closer to the bottom, you wrote, oh yeah, no charges against her / or you, by the way, for giving false information to the police and attempting to have me murdered, period. What's the false information to the police that you're referring to with Brian Newland? The money? No, not the money. I guess just telling him that I had a dungeon in my house and I had a kidnapping victims in there. Who's her? Tasha Chamblin. Oh, okay. So tell me about Tasha Chamblin. What did she do? She was just like a sex buddy girlfriend at one point. Of yours? Yes, sir. And what are you referring to here? I'm referring to, I guess, her telling the Adams County Sheriff's Department that I had a dungeon in my house and I had kidnapping victims there, to the point where they're running up my driveway with pistols and guns and whatever. Oh, okay. How do you know she told them that? I did some research. That's where the warrant came from. I guess some of the warrant or whatever came from her telling the Adams County Sheriff that I had a dungeon with kidnapping victims in it. And so you think she was attempting to have you murdered? Is that what you're saying here? Yes. Why lie to the cops, telling them I'm a kidnapper? Because I can get killed in the confusion of that. Kicking in the door, hey, coming here looking for kidnapping victims, I'm holding the remote control. So then your next sentence is, Brian wants me in jail so I don't expose his stealing pedophilia family. You don't have any evidence to support what charge, do you? Well, just the facts in the news reports. That's on Google. The fact that his brother really was the chief of Peebles and he really did get arrested for sending inappropriate pictures to minors, that's the only evidence I have. Yeah, but what I'm talking about, the evidence that Brian wants me in jail so I don't expose his family. You don't have any evidence of that? Yeah, I have evidence of that. Brian is walking around. He's the lead detective on a case. She's stealing my money, looking in my safes, trying to find some way of putting me in jail. That's the evidence. There's evidence that he's trying to put me in jail. And what's your evidence that his motive is so you don't expose his family? No, that's the entertainment humor I put in to help me sell this t-shirt and, whatever song I make about him. And these pictures down below on the right-hand side, is that a copy of the t-shirt? No, sir. Who put that picture together? Somebody holding who's supposed to be Brian Newland, I guess, holding a boy with a sad face on it. Did you put that together? I didn't put it together, but I posted it. Okay, where did you get it? I don't know. I don't know how to put the sad face. I don't know all of those little phone tricks. Somebody did that. Somebody did it. And sent it to you? Yes, sir. Do you know who sent it to you? No, sir. Klingler says, here's another one. We got Plaintiffs Exhibit 3. All right. You've been handed Exhibit 3 to your deposition. Do you recognize it? Yes, sir. Can you tell me what it is? This is the beginning of a promotion of a song I was going to make about him. Is this Facebook? Yes, sir. Dated September 2nd, 2023? Yes, sir. And at the bottom, it's got the same image we saw in the last exhibit. Somebody sent you this? Yes, sir. So in this exhibit you wrote, this is the uneducated, can't count, pedophile police officer that stole my money. His name is baby-making Brian child molesting new baby mama newborn Newland. Dick-tective Brian Newland. So what's the significance of this picture with an image of what's supposed to be Brian Newland holding, it looks like a little boy? What's that supposed to depict? Entertaining and humor. It can imply, you know what I'm saying, because the boy looks like he's about 12 or 13 years old. It helps me sell the song or the t-shirt, or helps put some kind of money value, as far as I'm concerned, behind the picture and the name of Brian Newland. Okay, and you don't have any evidence, do you, that Brian Newland ever molested or was accused of molesting little boys? Other than my eyeballs looking at his hands on the boy's gluteus maximus? No. That's not evidence of pedophilia, is it, in this picture? No. But I got the witness that claims that, he has sex with some underage girls here in Adams County. Yeah, but this isn't a girl, this is a little boy, right? Little boy, right. So you don't have any evidence so does pedophilia only apply to boys? I think the attorney got lost in his questions. So you don't have any evidence there's any evidence to support that charge, do you? Other than the picture I'm looking at, no. Well, that's not evidence, is it? A dude holding an 11, 12-year-old boy's butt? I mean, I don't know what you consider evidence, but, that's freaky to me. You never held one of your kids like that? Not at 13, 12-year-old boy like that, no, sir. Okay, but you don't know if this image is 12 years old or 6 years old, do you? I don't know. That don't look like a 6-year-old boy to me. It looks kind of like 10, 11, 12 years. So you're not trying to tell us today, Mr. Foreman, as you sit here under oath, that you think this picture we're looking at is some evidence that Brian Newland might be a pedophile? No. All right, just so we're clear, it's just something that will help me sell a t-shirt and a song and make back the $400 that he stole from me. That's all this is. Whether it's true or not? Whether what is true or not? That he's a pedophile like you said he was here. Right. I'm just trying to make my money back. You know what I'm saying? So him being a pedophile is just an entertaining ingredient in selling t-shirts and songs about him to make back the money he stole from me. And so are you saying if Brian Newland would have given you $400 before you posted this, that you wouldn't have posted it? I was being humorously sarcastic. But my question was, if he would have paid you $400 before you posted this, then would you have refrained from posting it? Well, because I don't think he should be a police officer breaking the law that he's supposed to be enforcing. So I was being funny when I said, if you give me back the $400, you know what I'm saying? So you didn't really mean it. Yeah, that was a joke. That was an entertaining joke. Okay. To get people to read the post and promote the album and t-shirt I was going to make of him. And then the attorney just moves on. He says, all right, this post on Exhibit 3 goes on to say, I have a song coming out about him. The chorus goes like this. I pledge allegiance to the flag. Brian Newland is a flag. He used to play with little toys. Now he plays with little boys. Watch your little boys around Brian Newland. He's very bold and will fondle little boys' testicles and butt cheeks right in front of you in broad daylight. This is a public service announcement. Stay safe. And again, the only evidence, you don't have any evidence that Brian Newland is a pedophile or plays with little boys? No, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag. Brian Newland is a flag. Is that a misprint? No, sir. What's that mean? Brian Newland is a flag. Well, yeah, like they say the IRS, they flag you. It's a flag. Okay, that's not some implication that you should leave the L out of that word? No, sir. Osborne says, it's almost 12:30. I was wondering if you want to take a break for lunch or go through lunch. That's from, David Osborne. Klingler says, let's take a break. I'll leave it up to you others how long you want to break for, and then they go off the record for an hour. So back on the record, still under oath. Okay, I've got a couple more exhibits here. So they bring up 4. Do you recognize this document? Yes. Can you tell us what it is? Yeah, this is a pre-promotion to sell t-shirts about Lisa Phillips and make a song. So it's a pre-promotion for it's promoting a song and a t-shirt about Lisa Phillips. All right, and this was posted on, is this Instagram or Facebook? It's TikTok. This was TikTok? Well, I don't know. Wait a minute. Okay, this is Instagram. Okay, and there's a date down there near the bottom. March 25th, 2023. Do you know if that's when you posted this? I'm going to say yeah, because they always have, I guess, the date there with the snap shoot, so. Okay, this was posted after you saw a copy of the complaint in this case, right? Yes, sir. So one of the things you wrote in Exhibit 4 is that something about to disconnect after stealing my money and disconnecting my cameras. So what evidence do you have that Lisa Phillips stole your money? Well, I didn't know. I didn't know or have an idea who stole my money. So at that time, all the cops in my house was looking like thieves. They cut off my cameras. I couldn't verify who was moving around doing what. Over time, I kind of narrowed it down to Brian Newland. But at that point, I kind of got beat up in the dark. So everybody was looking suspect. So as you sit here today, you don't accuse Lisa Phillips of stealing your money. No, sir. So you gave her a nickname, Lick'em Lisa. What is that supposed to mean? It's a funny little title that I can put on her to get the general public someone interested enough to buy upcoming merchandise and products that I put out about her. So when you posted this, you knew that Miss Phillips was claiming that your earlier post gave her emotional distress, subjected her to ridicule and loss of reputation, correct? Yes, sir. So you kind of doubled down and made the same comments again. Well, I figured I had freedom of speech, public service. You know what I'm saying? So I figured on my social media, talking to my friends and my family and my fans, I figured I had freedom of speech to vent and express myself. You figured that talking to your fans and your friends on your social media, you could say anything you wanted, whether or not it was true. No. I figured I could say, and I could vent, I could say, if I wanted to call her a nickname, I could, because I got freedom of speech. I'm on my social media place. I'm not in the Walmart parking lot disturbing the peace. I'm where I'm supposed to be, and I'm talking. So, at that time, I didn't know who took my money, so everybody was suspect. Well, and then you went on to say, but she loves stealing money and disconnecting cameras. And again, you don't have any evidence at all that she stole your money today. No, sir. Klingler says, let's mark this one 5. Do you recognize Exhibit 5, Mr. Foreman? Yes. What is it? It's me ironing my clothes. I've got to read it to see what I was talking about at this time, but it's just another promotion to get the general public interested enough to buy merchandise from me, relating to my home being raided. A little bit past the middle of this page of the print, you wrote 4, Detective Baby Making Brian Newborn Newland stealing money. Not only did he steal money from my house, he stole money out of the evidence room at the Adams County Sheriff Department away from my house, making the Adams County Sheriff Department the new crime scene. Do you have any evidence of that? Well, the money got took somewhere, and, I'm trying to figure it out after it happened. So I'm thinking he must have took it. He sealed the bags. The bags was sealed. I don't know. I was just trying to guess. They cut off my camera so I couldn't see. But I'm thinking took it to the station. They must have took it it's been sitting up there for months. Like, they had all my money for months. So I'm thinking, while it was sitting in there, somebody must have took $400 or something from it. Because it was whatever sealed. This amount was written on it. So, I don't know. Maybe they didn't think whoever was going to count it or whatever. I don't know. And took the money. You know what I'm saying? So the $400 is missing. So whether it got took from my house or the police department, it got took. At that time, I thought it got took at the police department because I figured they took all my money from my house, and I don't know, maybe $400 came up missing from the sheriff's station. And then there's a part that says 5. Oh, this is back to Klingler. And then there's a part that says 5. Ranger Randy Beetle Bailey Private Pile Walters vandalizing property, stealing CDs and DVDs before and after Lieutenant Ypcomchic Lisa committed the crime of tampering with evidence. Okay, so who's stealing CDs and DVDs? Randy Walters. Okay, and what evidence do you have of that? Well, I've got a few empty CDs, but my cameras got turned off, so I got some empty CD cases, and I don't got the footage to verify that nobody took nothing. So that's all I have. My cameras got turned off, and I didn't see where any kidnapped victims were inside of my CDs or pounds of weed, or I didn't really see the relevance of them going through my CDs and my DVDs and then cutting off my cameras. So Klingler says, so no CDs or DVDs were actually stolen? I don't know. They cut off the cameras. Well, did you ever discover that there were fewer CDs than you had and some CDs or DVDs were actually missing? Yes, I did. After the search warrant? Yes. And do you have any evidence that any of these deputies stole your CDs or DVDs? No, they cut off my cameras, so I don't have any. Do you know why they cut off your cameras? I guess so I couldn't see them. Do you know whether or not it's protocol for officers conducting a search warrant to cut off any surveillance cameras that they might be live streaming what they're doing? No. You use video footage to help you solve crime, so why would you cut it off? You said a few minutes ago that you said Lisa Phillips actually cut the wires, but that's not true, is it? That is true. So, and how do you know that the wires were cut? I watched her from the video. Well, when you got back home, the wires weren't cut, were they? Well, they're disconnected. The camera system's not working. Whether they cut it, chewed it, unscrewed it, it doesn't matter to you how they disconnected it. You used your fingers to show scissors several times, and I got the distinct impression when you were testifying before lunch that you saw her actually cut wires. But now you're saying you didn't really see her cut the wires? The cameras are disconnected. Randy Walters had her do something. Kenny Dick was holding the flashlight for her, and the cameras were disconnected. So, however you want to disconnect the cameras. And I think what he probably saw is the multi-tool. They might have had to use like needle nose pliers or something to do the little press down and pull it off. But come on, guy. And it's also a figure of speech. Cut off the lights. Cut the lights on. You don't say cut to literally mean something's being cut with scissors, but the idea is that somebody did something to disconnect something. So he says, but my question to you is, you know that she didn't disconnect the cameras by cutting the wires, right? You know that's not true. They were cut. They was cut. They were disconnected. Whacked. It don't matter how they got disconnected. They were disconnected. My camera system didn't work. I had to pay a dude to come hook it all back up. Do you know, as you sit here today, whether they were actually cut like a wire, cut with scissors, or were they just disconnected? Knife, scissors, wire, I don't know, but it was disconnected. The money you made from selling t-shirts or videos about this search warrant, did that money go into Hustler, your Hustler entity, or did it go into your personal account? Well, it's all the same thing in a way, but it went to Hungry Hustler Records. Okay, so do you have any idea how much money you collected from t-shirt sales that had to do with these deputy sheriffs? Yes. How much was it? It was roughly around like 25,000. Okay, and if you wanted to know exactly how much it was, what records would you look at? Probably my OG Afroman website. It's posted on the website, you mean? Or you mean there's a record of sales or what? Yeah, we was selling them on the website. I was selling them on the website, and I'm not sure. It may be less. It may be less. It's not over 25,000 though. That's for t-shirts? Yes, sir. And then my question, if you wanted to know exactly, what would you look at? And you said you'd look at the website. But how would that show you the exact... So, I don't think Klingler knows that, like, there's a front end of a website and then the back end of the website where you manage all of the content and any of the plugins and applications. So, if Afroman was using a storefront plugin, like WooCommerce or like Shopify or whatever, like he can just go in and see the orders and then look at reports to see totals for a certain product or overall for a certain year. And I don't think like Klingler is conceptualizing that that's how that works. So he said if I go to OG Afro, it would show me all who ordered them. So you could see all the names and sales on the website. Pretty much. What about sales? Did you make any t-shirt sales at performances? Yes. And that money went into Hungry Hustler too? Yes, sir. And are those sales included in the 25,000 you think? Yes, sir. And how would you know for sure how much you made through direct sales at a concert? It's a little gray. I'd get like a certain amount made. I'd get a certain amount of t-shirts made at a time. And then if the internet is slow, I try to move some at the shows back and forth. So when all of the shirts are gone, I know I should have X amount of dollars. Okay, and how much did each shirt cost? I would try to get 25. If they mope and grope, I drop it down to 20 or something like that. And then other than t-shirts, what other merchandise did you sell that had images of or references to any of the Adams County deputies? Just music videos, just clips of the music videos on like YouTube and stuff like that. But I wasn't... Some people paid to download one of those video clips. They don't pay for the video. They might pay and download the song. Okay, do you have any idea how much you collected for downloads of songs having to do with the deputies? Probably, I don't know. I gotta see how much Lemon Pound Cake sold, but it's probably into the like 10 or 11,000. That's like, people don't have to buy albums like the old days. They just go buy the whole tape or they just buy a song if they like the song. Sometimes they'll buy the whole album, but these days people might just buy whatever song they like. How much does a song cost? 99 cents, $1. So you might have had 10 or 11,000 downloads. Yes, sir. And what about other merchandise that you made money on? Any other? That's all I really had. Was I had songs and t-shirts. Okay, there was... Do you remember posting something having to do with Randy Walter's wife? Oh, here we go. Good times. He says, yes. What was that post about? It was just me trying to market him, make a t-shirt and a song valuable about him so I could get some money. And somewhere on that posting, did you say that you'd slept with Randy Walter's wife? Thinking I had freedom of speech and trying to make me some money? Yes. And was it true or false that you ever slept with Randy Walter's wife? Unfortunately, false. Yeah, no. Did you know that his child was teased at school about who their father was? No. Do you remember posting something that said the Adams County Sheriff's Department, quote, attempted to kill me in front of my kids, end quote? Why would you ask this question right after someone came home from school and had to ask if Afroman was their dad, and you compare that? Why is this the next question in order? And he's doing it in a mocking way. He's asking this question as if he thinks that this is a false perception or a false concern. To say, do you remember posting something that said the Adams County Sheriff's Department, quote, attempted to kill me in front of my kids, end quote? Yes. And the same posting came to kill me in front of my children. Do you remember that? Yes. And that the deputies constituted, quote, a hit squad to kill me in front of my kids, end quote. I don't know about a hit squad. I don't remember saying nothing about a squad. Okay. Do you remember the references to killing me in front of my kids? Yes. You don't have any reason to believe that the Adams County deputies involved in this case were attempting to kill you in front of your kids, do you? Yes, I do have reason to believe they were. Okay, what reason is that? Bad service over the years, running around my house with guns. A bullet is always an option when people are running around your house with guns. They can always, oh, he's holding a remote. Oh, I thought my partner's life was in jeopardy. Okay, your kids weren't around when this warrant was executed, were they? Yes, they were. Where were they? Next door. Okay, so do you have any evidence that the Adams County Sheriff's Department was intending to kill you in front of your kids? Yes. They was running around my house with guns, looking for a dungeon that they could have looked in City Hall or something and realized I didn't have. You're talking about the night of the search warrant? Yes. Okay, and your kids were not in the house? No. Your kids were next door? Yes. So they didn't see what was going on? Well, they seen men running around my house with rifles. Okay, and you weren't there? No. No shots were fired? No. Okay, well, if the theory is somebody's trying to shoot somebody, obviously the logic, well, they didn't fire any shots and you weren't there, were you? I mean, how does that debunk the idea that they were trying to shoot somebody if the person's not there and they don't end up firing any shots? If they are trying to shoot somebody and that person's not there, you would expect that they don't actually fire. Like, this is just dumb. So, you were never put on the ground with a gun pointed at you? No. So what was your purpose, Mr. Foreman? And he never claimed that they did these things to him. He's saying, here's this scenario where somebody was trying to bust in my house, and this is what could have happened. And they didn't care. They acted recklessly. And this is what the outcome could have been. And this attorney's treating it like he said, I was there and I was pinned on the ground and my kids were standing there screaming. And that's not what any of the speech is conveying. So he says, so what was your purpose, Mr. Foreman, in posting these statements that the Adams County Sheriff's Department attempted to kill you in front of your kids, came to kill you in front of your children? Why did you post that? Well, they showed up to my house with guns. I call. I can't give a report until 3 days later. People breaking in my house all the time. I call the police to keep the peace. And the guy gets to talking to Angie I called the police on, and he's trying to talk her into lying and filing some charges on me. And then somebody lies and say I have a dungeon with kidnapping victims in my house. Here comes a whole bunch of people with rifles and bullets, and I don't have none of that. It's just me. So usually when people come to your house with guns and bullets, killing you is an option. Well, you were talking to some people on the phone while this raid was going on, weren't you? Yes. Including Randy Walters? Yes. Okay, and he explained to you that we're executing a search warrant. Right. Okay, so you knew he wasn't there to kill you. Well, cops like to kill you in the confusion. It's a mind game. Oh, I thought he was this. So running up in my house, guns out, pulling the gate back, it's a good thing I wasn't home. There was a post, maybe more than one, but there was a post where you talked about Lisa Phillips being a security guard at the school where your child goes. Yes, is that right? And you insinuated in that post that Lisa Phillips maybe wasn't really a woman, right? I didn't know. What? I didn't know. But my question was, you insinuated in that post that she wasn't really a woman. I don't remember, but I didn't know. Well, you didn't know, but you said somebody should do a dick check or something like that. Do you remember that? Yeah, I cracked the joke. Like I said, to get people interested so I could promote a t-shirt and a song about her. Okay, so you cracked a joke implying that Lisa Phillips was a man and not a woman, right? Having freedom of speech, trying to promote my album, yes, I did. You were trying to promote your album. You were also just trying to inflict pain on these people who raided your house, weren't you? No, I wanted to crack jokes about them and make a whole bunch of money if possible. Well, even after they filed a lawsuit saying that they were emotionally disturbed and upset by some of your posts, you continued to post even worse things, didn't you? I don't know about even worse. I continued to promote the albums and the merchandise so I could make money off the entire situation. Despite the fact that they had already alleged in a public filing that they were emotionally upset and bothered by your posts, right? Under the circumstances that they was running around my house with guns and bullets ready to kill me. I'm cracking jokes. Jokes compared to guns and bullets. I thought that was absurd, so I continued to crack jokes and promote albums and t-shirts. So they deserve whatever they got? Jokes? I'm giving them jokes. I'm cracking jokes, that's all I'm doing. I'm cracking jokes and that's it. They're running around my house with actual guns, actually stealing my money. I'm wondering if you ever gave any thought, Mr. Foreman, to the effect that some of your jokes had on the officers or their families. Did you ever give that any thought? I wonder if you gave any thought to the fact of people running around my house with guns and bullets had an effect on me. Yeah, I've thought about that. So forget about my life, you know what I'm saying? The jokes I cracked, ridicule, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I thought about that. I thought about my life too. I thought about my kids watching people run around my house with guns. Okay, and you've thought about the effect that it might have on the lives of them and their families. Is that what you're saying? You did think of that? I thought about making money to pay for the damage they brought to my house. I thought about making back the $400 Brian Newland stole. I thought about raising money to get my cameras hooked back up after Lisa disconnected them and Randy Walters told her and Kenny Dick held the light for her. Okay, I understand. And everything you just said is about how you were thinking about yourself. And now I'm asking you again, did you ever give any thought to how your actions might have affected them or their families? No, I didn't think about how my jokes would affect their family. They were police officers. I'm a civilian. I can talk about public servants on my social media with my friends and family. I didn't go to their families' houses, get on their families' websites, and say anything to them or none of that. I stayed in my circle. You're aware of the fact, aren't you, that the Adams County Sheriff's Office got hundreds of phone calls from your fans or people who heard about the situation, including death threats and all kinds of threats because of the lawsuits that was filed? Because of the lawsuit. Because of the lawsuit. Look at this question. Because of the lawsuit. Hello? Because what is the whole context? They run up in his house, he talks about it, and then they sue him. The what? The real kicker against the cops is the audacity that they have to sue him, to band together as a unit of 7 and sue him. So yes, if you're getting these calls because of the lawsuit that files, that checks out. That checks out. So, oh man, my goodness. Also, Jay Down, thank you here for the 5, says, I'm still shook that Klingler is going to appeal. Using the jury was unfair excuse, but during closing, he refers to them as a gift from God. So, yeah, the irony of this verdict after he's like, you guys are the chosen ones, that even though I did the voir dire. I chose you, but God chose you, but then you ruled entirely in favor of the guy we wanted you to say was liable. He says, you're the chosen ones. It's not clear if he's going to appeal. He did file asking for, a record of the voir dire and jury questions. So a lot of attorneys are saying that's something that you always do. I would say since there's 7 plaintiffs, maybe one that's super stubborn will want to appeal. I really am crossing my fingers for their sake, for some of those 7, that they're smart enough not to keep this going. If they keep this appeal going, I'm sure there will be new songs. Filing the lawsuit didn't stop Afroman. Filing the lawsuit got people aware. And now it's magnitudes more than when this lawsuit was first filed and people started calling the office. Now it's global. It's a global phenomenon. It's Afromania. Everybody's changing their profile pics to Afroman. People are ordering the suits. My entire YouTube feed, granted, I'm sure the algorithm's trying to serve me stuff, but my brother's sending me stuff about this case, and, my brother knows I do YouTube, and he might be interested in knowing what YouTube and court trials are going on just to recommend something for me, but he's sending me stuff from this case left and right. It's everywhere. So, do you really want to keep the appeal going? Because as the saying goes, appeals are for losers. And I love reading appeals. Sometimes I root for the people filing appeals. But this would really be a loserly appeal. Especially since I think, there may have been some Court of Appeals justices in Ohio waiting to get the new Ohio version of anti-SLAPP to have a case like this come down their way for an appeal that was against Joseph Foreman's right to free speech in this matter. So can you imagine if you were like, oh, cool, I'd like to weigh in on anti-SLAPP here in Ohio and free speech and artist rights of expression. And I didn't get that opportunity with that case because the jury said, no, we're not even, this is, no. The jury put a stop to it. But then the losing party prevails. Like, I just don't feel like that would play well. I don't know. So in a way, while I hope I don't wish that financial cost and burden on someone that, there was a tear that came down Afroman's face when the verdict was read. Let him live. You raided his house. You didn't find anything. Let him move on. Get over people making comments about you. But I still think it would be stupid if they decide to litigate. With the new anti-SLAPP going into effect in Ohio, don't really think that their claims are in their favor. So I don't know. Oh, man. And let's see. Autodoc says, I was kind of hoping the cops would have won something so Afroman would have an appeal to make. Gotta keep this rolling. Yeah, and I mean, like, it's not the type of thing I would wish, but I do think the opportunity was there where if there was a reason for Afroman to appeal here, the Ohio courts now have this 2025 law that went into place, the UEAPA, that maybe they're really excited. They want an opportunity to weigh in on. So, and yeah, we won't know that there's actually an appeal until somebody files a notice of appeal. And the notice of appeal will come down before you'd see the full brief filed typically. And probably they have 30 days, I would imagine, to file a notice of appeal. So we should know by 420. We should know by 420 if there's a notice of appeal filed by anybody. In addition, I think there might be a motion with the court, maybe to like reconsider the judgment or a motion to tax costs from the parties. And I'll keep an eye out for that stuff and share it with you guys if I see it. So let's see. Oh, our little channel's growing so fast. Heck yeah, it was cool. Like, so I have this thing, and whenever I look at a big channel, it just like shows a flatline stat. When I look at my dashboard on YouTube, when I'm signed into this account that I'm streaming from, I don't have it for like other channels. But we were looking the other day at Afroman's growth and looking at how this trial, like since day one and especially day two when more people heard about it, the way his following was spiked up. And I had a little spike too, and that was really cool to see. So it's been cool to have new followers come into this. And I really hope, not everybody is interested in following court cases, but people tuned into this court case because it dealt with somebody fighting back against these cops that were crying that they got made fun of and humiliated and wanted him to shut up. They wanted to silence his speech. And I think that's a cool thing to just have, a bigger circle all interested in that same thing. So even though the other stuff I talk about might not deal with First Amendment, I hope anytime we cover something like this on this channel, like everybody comes back around and we're like, heck yeah, get them. So, and we've got, did he really? Afroman said these songs are his Billie Jean. He'll be performing them forever. I hope so. I mean, at least Lemon Pound Cake and the Lick 'em Lolisa song. I think both Lick 'em Lolisa song, the long vibey one and then the one that's like the faster upbeat one, they're just so catchy. They're just so catchy. And I mean, if anybody was an Under the Boardwalk fan, of course Lemon Pound Cake's going to be catchy, but he did a great job turning that song, like repurposing it to tell the story of what happened to him. And again, the story of what happened to him. So it might be hyperbolic, but he's still talking about something that happened to him, things he has reasonable inferences about. So, yeah. Maddie says Sean is pessimistic that the judge will award attorney's fees. Maddie, I don't know if you saw that little bit where just with the court costs, which probably insignificant in relation to attorney's fees. But court costs here, I don't think it was a smidgen, just like a couple $100s. I think it might be in the thousands just because it was pretty lengthy litigation. The docket was pretty hectic. There was the countersuit. There's all these subpoenas. The service has to go out. And then I think for some of these depositions, depending on how this court does it, sometimes the costs of the depositions are considered court costs rather than private costs incurred by the parties. So depending on if they had any court staff present, if this court reporter was from the court staff, sometimes that's included in the court costs in addition to any fees. So I think the costs that the judge in the judgment that he entered yesterday, saying, oh, the parties got to split it 50-50 based on the merits of this case. I don't think that that's necessarily just going to be like a couple bucks. So, and I think that's a signal. Don't come to me asking, like Afroman especially, don't come to me looking for me to award you attorney's fees. Everybody pays for their own attorneys, unless someone files a motion asking otherwise. And I think the judge might be signaling, like, don't even try it. Don't even try to make that argument with me. So, Chicken Shite says you never shy away when it matters. Well, I hope not. Sometimes I feel like I don't cover certain cases just out of bandwidth, and people are like, why aren't you covering this? And I'm like, I can't do it all. But that's why I always try to shout out whoever I see doing it. Well, welcome, Default. Is this like WoW? Is this like World of Warcraft? Or is it just Default WoW something else? Welcome aboard. EJF says, I learned something new from every trial and case that is covered here. And sometimes you don't want to learn the new thing. Like, oh, hey, this really awful law exists that allows this to keep happening. Sometimes we learn things that are kind of disappointing, but it's always a learning step. We've got, yeah, half Irish, Andrea Burkhart using my feet. I'm so glad I didn't pause and talk so much in the beginning of this trial, because Andrea was able to use it, and it wasn't me just blurting out every 5 seconds. Thank goodness. But it was so fun to see some of you guys from the chat, because you guys were on my screen. You guys also got to be on Andrea Burkhart's screen, which is like legendary status, guys. I'm a big fan of Andrea Burkhart over here. So super, super cool. I'm totally honored. Let's see. Yeah, mispronounced name says the outcome tells the merits of the case. One party won 100%, and it indicates something. And I think, there's a little bit that could be said. It looks like 2 of the verdict forms, it wasn't all 8 that you were unanimous. But for the most part, that's like a 95-ish in favor. So all get returned, like it rounds up as long as you have 75%. But what I'm trying to say is that almost all of the verdicts were unanimous as well. So, but yeah, I wasn't pleased with seeing I'm gonna just decide that they should split the court costs, even if the court costs might be nominal. It just doesn't seem right. So, I also see, I want to give a welcome to Coretta hanging out with us, saying a new subscriber. You've been great to have in the chat. Thank you for hanging out with us. And let's see. GB says, if Andrea Burkhart knows you exist, you know you made it, unless you're a cop. Oh, man. All right, so where were we? Oh, yeah. It's the slip from the attorney that, like, the attention rolls in after the lawsuit's filed. Not because Afroman says something on social media. It's this buzz that goes wild because this lawsuit's filed. And that's when I remember hearing about this case. I really think it was the creator, Moist Critical, or Penguins with the Z and the 0. He did a update video on the resolution of this case, the verdict, but I really think it was him in 2023, where he just does like these dry voice, quick speaking commentary videos. But it was just a video like, cop suing Afroman after they raid his house, like a simple little title like that. And I was like, what? And again, that content only came about because of the lawsuit. That's how I heard about it. So there you go. They are their own problem. So we've got, I don't know nothing about that. All I know is, they came, stole my money, and, looking for dungeons and all this type of stuff. So I didn't know nobody. I got online and told people I don't want nothing to happen to them. And still to this day, I don't want nothing to happen to them. I just wanted to say something and make some money. You kick down my door, you disconnect my cameras, you steal my money. I can say something. I can say something on my social media. I can say, I got freedom. I can say something. I can't vent. I just got to take all this and don't say nothing. Bad enough I can't do nothing. But I can say something. I waited until they leave. I didn't say nothing disrespectful to them. And the attorney goes, no, you just posted it all over the internet. Well, I got a vent somewhere. Have you taken any of your posts down since this lawsuit was filed? Yes. What have you taken down? I guess anything I thought, And then Mr. Osborne says, it was my understanding you wanted him to take those down. I had him take down all the posts. I thought that was something we agreed on. Mr. Klingler, I appreciate that. Thank you. Mr. Osborne, so, some of these was me telling him to take all those down at our conversation on that. So I'd like to clear the record for that. Mr. Klingler, no, I appreciate the clarification. And this to me just seems like, I can imagine Bob Klingler getting messages crying from his clients. Oh, they posted a new post. He posted a new post. And he's hearing about it. And so mentally he registers that there's new posts going up. But none of them are running and being like, oh, I actually saw he was taking stuff down like you asked. And if he's not keeping up and looking himself, he's just not paying attention or aware that this is happening. So Osborne has to step in and be like, well, you asked us to take stuff down and we did. So Mr. Klingler says, no, I appreciate the clarification. Question. Did you ever encourage any of your fans or anyone else to call? No, I never put up a post like, hey, call this number, do this, do that. I was just trying to sell a record and a t-shirt. That's it. I didn't tell nobody to do none of that. So they enter Exhibit 6. These are your responses to plaintiff's first set of requests for admission, interrogatories, and requests for production of documents propounded to defendants. Mr. Klingler said, I don't think we ever got a verification of this. Osborne says, there was no verification page sent. I thought it was odd there wasn't one. Klingler, sometimes we include them, sometimes the answering side provides it, but that's no problem. Take a look at page 6, if you would, Mr. Foreman. The request for admission down at the bottom of page 6. The first request says, admit that defendant Joseph Edgar Foreman posted or caused to be posted each of the social media posts identified in plaintiff's first amended and supplemental complaint for damages and injunctive relief. And your response is on the next, your response to your attorney is on the next page. And there's an objection. But then at the end it says, admit to the best of my ability. And Mr. Osborne adds, and without waiving said objection. All right. So did you go through this at some point? The first amended and supplemental complaint in this case? Did you read it? Did I read what? The complaint that was filed. As much as I had time to. All right. Okay. And in the complaint, Mr. Klingler says, let's mark this too. So they mark Exhibit 7. Might as well get this on the record. I don't know how many copies of this one I made, the amended complaint. Do you mind if we just go along? Mr. Osborne says, which? Mr. Klingler. He's got a copy there. If you want to stop and make a copy, we can. But I'm just going to go through some of these quickly. Mr. Osborne. So this would be the amended complaint, first amended complaint, May 9th, 2023. There's no file stamp, so I'm trying to... Yeah, whatever. It was served on May 9th, 2023. That's it. Mr. Osborne says, okay. And this is a true and accurate copy I will represent to you of what was filed. So, Mr. Foreman, starting on page 8 at the bottom of this amended complaint, there's a series of URLs and some descriptions of some of your posting. And we're not going to take the time to go through all of them, but my question to you is, do you have any reason to believe that any of these posts are not yours or weren't put up at your direction? Well, if it was all my websites, all my social media, I'm not responsible for what other people post, but if it said Afroman and had the blue check mark, if it was my official sites, then yeah. Okay, good enough. So then let's go back to Exhibit 6, which is your responses to discovery requests. The other page, right? Yeah, the other paper, page 7 of Exhibit 6, your discovery responses. You said page 6, right? Well, page 7 now. Well, wait, you're in the complaint. Wrong situation. I need to be in this one. Yeah. 6, page 7. All right. Request to admit number 2 asked. Admit that you have no evidence that the plaintiffs, or any of them, took and failed to return any cash that belonged to you. And your answers was deny. We've been over this, so I'm just going to ask you. Do you have any other evidence that we haven't talked about that $400 was stolen from you by the sheriff's office? Have we covered all of that, or is there anything else? They were covered. You got the other guy that got stole from too, right? So, yeah, that's it. Okay, then number 3. Admit that you have no evidence that Plaintiff Newland, quote, used to do hard drugs, end quote. Right. We talked about that too, right? Right. Anything else? No. Number 4. Admit that you have no evidence that Plaintiff Newland steals money from traffic stops. Answer, deny. I'm not sure we talked about that specifically. What evidence do you have that Plaintiff Newland steals money from traffic stops? He stole money from another man named Tracy. I forget his last name. What's the man's name? Mr. Osborne. The answer to that question is actually included in 15 is his name. Mr. Klingler says, that's right, Mr. Osborne. We did discuss that earlier. His sister was the one that talked to Mr. Foreman, and you asked for that name, and I made a note to get it too, and I can figure out what her name was. Klingler says, appreciate it. Mr. Osborne says, so we did discuss that some. Klingler says, okay. Thank you for reminding me that we've got interrogatories that follow up on this. So, Mr. Foreman, back to number 2 for just a minute. Evidence that they failed to return cash, you denied it. And then in response on page 8, interrogatory number 9, says state the basis for your denial if you denied number 2. And you wrote, your response was, court records show that the amount of money taken did not equal the amount returned. The amount on the search warrant indicates the amount seized was $400 over what was returned. Does that sound right? Well, this is all worded all legally. Yeah, it should say 400 was stolen from me in whatever terminology you want to use. Oh. He said, make it plainer. I'll state it plain. He says, all right. And we've already been over that. All right. And then number 4 was the traffic stops question that I asked you. And number 11, David Osborne corrects. This is interrogatory number 11 on page 9 says, I have a witness, Tracy Stevenson, who claims Officer Newland made a traffic stop on him and stole money from him during the search of the vehicle. Now, who's Tracy Stevenson? And Afroman says, another person that Brian Newland stole money from. Question, well, how do you know Tracy Stevenson? He called, his sister messaged me and told me that not only was I getting money stolen from me, but her brother was getting money stolen from him too. And there could be more patterns of this going on. So you got a message from Tracy. Is it Tracy Stevenson, the sister, or is that the person who was the victim? Tracy Stevenson is the gentleman, David Osborne says. Klingler says, okay. Osborne says the sister is the one we're getting the name for. Klingler says, okay, so you're working on that? Mr. Osborne says, yeah. She has a different name, different last name. I wish I could remember what it was. Question. And she is one of your fans, or did she know how to reach out on the subject? Or how did she know? Afroman says, because I've been saying on social media that I had money stolen from me. So she saw a post on social media? I'm going to say yeah. Okay, and she said her brother had money stolen from him? Also, all right. You've never talked to her brother? I haven't had the chance to. Not yet, no, but my attorney did. Question. Do you know where Tracy Stevenson lives? I don't. Mr. Osborne. As best I can tell, the address I provided is on Mount Unger Road. That was the last address I could find, and that was off the court website as his last address. So as far as I know, that's about the best address that we have for him. Mr. Foreman, did you say you received a message from Tracy Stevenson, or was it a phone? His sister. From his sister, right. Klingler is lost. Klingler is so torn up that this guy's name is Tracy that I think he can't, he must think that Tracy has to be the sister because the name is Tracy. He is so confused on the who's who here. And both Afroman and Osborne have corrected him 4 times. So he gets it right. He says, right. And then, okay, yeah. It wasn't a phone call. It was a message. Yeah, like Messenger, like on Facebook or something. He says, do you still have that? Somewhere. I get a bunch of messages a day. But yeah, somewhere on my messenger, I have the messages where she messaged me. And Klingler says, I'd like to ask you for a copy of that. Osborne says, I'll let you know. And then question. All right, request number 6. Admit that you have no evidence that plaintiffs attempted to kill you in front of your kids. Answer, deny. And then your explanation for your denial in interrogatory number 13 was, upon seeing the camera footage and the way the officers entered my home, I feel that, as a black male, if I was there, they would have shot me in front of my family. Anything you want to add to that, or is that pretty much your reason for your denial of that request? So Afroman says, like I said, when men come to your house with rifles and bullets, your death is always a possibility. So, they could have just walked. I've seen people on A&E wanted for murder. Cops walk up to them. Hi, are you John? We need to talk to you over here. No guns out, this and that. So, guns drawn, ready to go. Yes, it's a possibility. And they could play a mind game and act like they're mistaken, a remote control or a cup in my hand or something, and then shoot, and with immunity they can get off. It happens all the time. Question. And again, your kids weren't in the house, were they? They were not in the house. They was just next door watching men run around my house with rifles. I haven't been to your place. Is it in town or out in the country, or where is it? It's just outside the Winchester city limits. So how close are the two houses to each other? I got 10 acres and they're divided into 5s. So how many yards between the houses would you estimate? A good football field, maybe some change. Okay, so they're not right beside each other, 100 yards or something? Yeah, it's not an apartment building. Well, it's not even a suburb with 2 houses right next to each other. No, sir. Okay, it was close enough to see sheriffs running around your house with rifles. Do you know if your kids saw that? Yes. You talked to them about it? Yes. And I think they were in the back of the car when Angela showed up. She had somebody in the car with her, because she said, stay right here, you two. And so you talked to them about it? Yes. What did they say to you about it? Actually, Angie just told me they saw it. They're the ones that told their grandma, Miss Lynn, and this, that, and the other. So, and she was saying how it scared them, You look up and you see police officers running around your father's house with guns. You hope you don't get shot or beat up or something. Did you ever talk to your kids about it yourself? I just told them I was all right. It did depress me. It depressed me they had to see that. So you didn't really talk to them about it? No, because, I didn't want to see them get emotional and sad. I didn't want to get emotional. But I just told them I was all right and I was going to try to work everything out. But Angie talked to them, and she was giving me all kinds of descriptions of them crying and just, hard to sleep at night thinking some people are going to pop up, kick in doors, run all around the place and all of that junk. But you never talked to them about it at all? I told them I talked to them. I told them I was all right. I didn't want them to be depressed. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want them to be sad. So I said, hey, everything's all right. I'm okay. I'm going to get it worked out, blah, blah, blah. Get some laws changed so this kind of stuff don't happen, blah, blah, blah. I was just being positive and strong for them. Do you know if your kids ever saw any of your social media posts about the incident? They was younger, so they didn't have Facebook and all these different sites at that time. I think my son just got a Facebook the other day. And do you know if he's ever seen any of the posts? I don't know. Interrogatory number 21 on page 12 asks you to state your net worth, and subject to certain objections, the response was 500 to 600,000. Is that still a more or less accurate number? Yeah. On page 14, document request 31 asks you to produce your federal and state tax records for years 2020, 21, 22, and 23. And your response was that you haven't filed taxes since 2018. Why is that? I got bills. It's hard. I got to catch up, and I'm going to do it. But it's hard to just send the government 40, 50, 100,000 at a time right now. I just ain't got that to spare, just to keep everything going. So I'm working on catching up my taxes, in between tax people, and you know what I'm saying. So we're not talking about money that you owe. We're just talking about the tax returns themselves. You haven't filed any since. No, they was telling me, I guess last time we talked, I need to pay what I owe. And then, because if you try to pay for my 23 taxes, well, you need to go take care of your 18 and 19 and catch up all of that. So I'm in the process of catching up with back taxes to the point where I can catch up to the present and get caught all the way up. All right, and I've got this question. Have you ever been convicted of a felony? No, sir. Mr. Klingler, let's take a short break. I'm getting close to done. So they break for 20 minutes. And then I have just a few more questions, Mr. Foreman. You've got a YouTube channel in your name? Yes, sir. And are you aware of the fact that all these videos are still live on your YouTube channel? Yes. Okay, you haven't taken those down? No. All right. Do you plan to? No. I think about my life experiences, so I wrote songs about what happened in my life, and they're up. So Lisa Phillips being a lesbian, that's something that happened in your life? That? I never put that song out. That song is not out. That song is not out? I don't recall the lesbian. It's on your YouTube channel. I never called her a lesbian. Maybe in some post or something, but I don't remember calling her a lesbian in a song. Anyway, you haven't taken anything down from your YouTube channel? No, sir. Were you aware of the fact that Lisa Phillips' child asked her if she had a sex change operation? No, I'm not. Miss Phillips, let me correct that. She was asked by somebody else. She was asked that by somebody else. Mr. Klingler, thank you. I'm sorry. Oh. Okay, so this is Lisa speaking. So, it wasn't Lisa's child that asked her if she had a sex change. Somebody else asked Lisa that. So Klingler says, thank you, I'm sorry. And then question, are you aware of the fact that Lisa's daughter, and then Miss Phillips said, yes, sir, was asked by a friend if she had a sex change operation? And then Afroman says, no, sir. And then question, based on your videos and posts, you weren't aware of that? No, sir. I asked you about Randy Walters and sleeping with his wife, right? Right. Did I ask you about his child being asked by somebody else who his father was? Yes. Okay. How do you think you'd feel if your kids were subjected to that kind of questioning and comments by their peers? Well, I cracked a joke. I'm not running around Randy Walters' house with a gun with the opportunity to play a mind game and possibly have the opportunity to kill him. Yeah, that was a joke. Randy Walters was actually running around my house with a gun. So, how do you think you'd feel if my kids saw Randy Walters running around my house with a rifle and ready to kill me over a dungeon that don't exist? How would my kids feel if they was in my house with guns, stealing money, and cutting off my cameras? How would my kids? They wouldn't like it. They wouldn't like that. You don't want to answer my question. You don't want to answer mine. Well, because I don't matter. It's all about the people that came to my house with guns. Let's talk about how their kids feel about them, but let's not talk about them being at my house with guns ready to kill me. I asked you about your conversation with your kids, so now I'm asking you how you think you'd feel if your kids got asked questions about sex change operations or who their father was. You know, my kids, they get all kind of ridicule, and I tell them that that's just the way the world is, and the world ain't perfect. And, just stay away from people that offend you. You gotta deal with the world. So it doesn't bother you? It didn't bother them when they were running around my house with guns. See, but and stealing my money. You keep not wanting to answer my question. I understand your point, but I'm asking you a question. Do you understand his point? You understand that he's commenting on something that happened to him? So I understand your point, but I'm asking you a question. Do I care about the guys that came to my house with guns? Do I care about their kids? Yeah, I care. I don't want them dead. Don't want to kill them. I'm going to say something. I don't mean nothing. I don't mean no harm towards their kids. If I saw any of their kids, I'd speak to them. I wouldn't say nothing around them. If I really knew that this is their kids or whatever, I wouldn't say nothing derogatory. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't got nothing against my kids. But under the right circumstances, they'll blow my head off right in front of them. Well, and I wouldn't do that. So I don't have nothing against their kids. I'm not trying to humiliate their kids. Me and their kids could have a perfect relationship. I don't got nothing against them. They're different individuals. They're different people. So I don't want their kids getting ridiculed at school or none of that. At the same time, I don't want people running around my house with guns. The attorney says, was it Angie or Lynn that came back to your house with her phone and while you were still driving back and showed you what was going on, that they had taken stuff? The officers let her do that. So he just moves on. He just moves on. He tried to ask that question. He said, okay. Anyway. He said, anyway. So, yes. That was Angie? Yes. So they let her film the house while you were watching. I don't know about let, but she just kind of did. Well, they were there, right? Yes, they were there. Do you know Missy Barnes? Yes. She's your sister-in-law? Yes, sir. She stole $40,000 from you? No. How much did she take? That one time when it took the Adams County Sheriff 3 days to take the report, I figured it came out later that her and her boyfriend, Angie, invited me to a basketball game at North Adams while they was breaking in my house and everything. So they took like $11,000. One time she got into my bank statements, and some kind of way she hooked up some kind of credit card to one of my accounts, and she took $10,000 out of that. So I guess you can go to $21,000, but not $40,000. So this incident we're talking about where you were burglarized while you were at a ball game, that was Missy Barnes? Yeah. Okay. Well, it was her and her boy, something about her. It all came out one night, you know what I'm saying? Her and her boyfriend. I don't have no videotape evidence. I didn't have video cameras at that time. How did you figure that out? Angie admitted it one night. And then, did you get that money back at some point over time? No. Did you get some of it back? No. But you did know who took it. Yes, I showed the Adams County Sheriff's how she took my money with the bank and everything. They never arrested her. Back in the day, she took $10,000 out of my bank. You can see her name all over my statements. She got in, she rigged up this card with my account. I got my bank statements, but I didn't know how she did it. She did some kind of trick with a Capital One card, and some kind of way she was getting money out of my account with her card some weird way. You're saying nobody ever did anything about it? No, I forgot about that one. By the way, you sell hoodies too, right? In addition to t-shirts? Yeah, we had them in there a little bit. They sell good in Canada. You're aware of the fact, aren't you, that somebody from the Claremont County Sheriff's Department conducted an investigation into this missing $400, and it's all on body cam, counting the money at your house. Did you know that? Did you know it's all on body cam? We've been watching this over the last few days, and you can't always see the money that's in the hands. Like, you really can't always see it. So, yeah, it's all on body cam. He says yes. And you're aware of the fact that the Claremont County investigation revealed the fact that Mr. Newland had been interrupted while he was counting the cash by somebody else and had lost count and started recounting, and that's what accounted for the miscount of $400. The fact? You say the fact he did that? Yeah. You can't see the numbers on the dollars as he's counting them. So you've seen the video. Yes. It's all edited and blurred out. They only want you to see what they want you to see. But you can't see the dollars. You can't see what he's counting. And he's stuffing something into his pocket and he's counting and whatever. So what he's referring to is the Fox News channel ends up like playing a clip while talking about this report from the body cam footage. But it's got like the news puts their funky filters over stuff. So you can't see what he's counting. And he's stuffing something in his pocket and he's counting and whatever. You said the video shows him stuffing something in his pocket? Yeah, I got video. There's video while he's counting. You can see him. He puts something in his vest while he's handling the money. You can't see the dollars. You can't see the amount. And that's from the video from the Claremont County investigation. There's his body cam. Then there's his body cam, and that's what they had to use. You know what I'm saying? That's on his body cam. You can see him stuff something in his pocket on his body cam. He's counting out the money, sitting there counting it. You can't see none of the dollars. Well, he puts it in a sealed envelope then, right? You don't know? Whatever. That's what the lady came into the room with what he sealed and said he had. Okay. So what's your theory? That he stuffed $400 in his pocket? I don't know. Hey, I can give you all kinds of theories. $400 is missing. Okay. You mentioned an Amish house. You called it that. That's attached to your house? Yes, sir. Is that also known as a guard shack? It was going to be one just in case, I didn't know whether to do a room because people kept coming over to my house. Angie would come over there and start fights with me, and then Missy would come over there, and I'd just be trying to conduct a normal recording business day. So I started to keep my gate right there. I was trying to function, keep my gate right there, and yeah, if I was busy and I was recording that day, I was going to pay somebody to sit there and let me know if somebody important needs to come in, other than Angie, to come start a fight with me. All right, you mentioned a time when law enforcement came into your house with guns looking for your brother-in-law. Yes, sir. And he was wanted for rape, right? Something like that. And that wasn't Adams County, that was a federal task force, wasn't it? I don't know. I thought I seen some familiar faces. I know, what's his name? Sam Purton? I don't think he's a federal. I think he's like an Adams County sheriff. He was running for sheriff. He was with them. I don't know who they were. They were some cops. They could have been some fake cops because they came in like foreign cars like Nissans. There was not an official squad car out there. Like, some dudes could have just pulled up. Whatever happened to your brother-in-law? Do you know? Did he ever get caught? I guess they found him somewhere. I don't know. I don't hang out with my brother-in-law. I'm not even with Angie, so I'm not hanging around her brother. So this person who had money stolen from him by Brian Newland, supposedly in a traffic stop, somebody's brother, Tracy Stevenson's brother, right? He's doing it again. He's thinking Tracy's his sister. He said somebody's brother, Tracy Stevenson's brother, right? She told you? So Osborne jumps in and says, Tracy Stevenson is the gentleman. Tracy Stevenson is the gentleman. His sister told you that he'd been stopped by Brian Newland and that money was stolen from him? Yes, sir. Now you're aware of the fact, aren't you, that actually was a forfeiture because he had fentanyl found on him and they took the money under the forfeiture law. Didn't go to Brian Newland. It went to whenever that goes. Did you know that? No, I didn't. But that didn't stop you from posting that Brian Newland steals money from traffic stops, did it? No, sir. Seems like if we look behind these stories, there's more to it than what you told me. Like the burglary earlier on. And, you know, if there's more to it, and this isn't it. I mean, he still has the example of the money being stolen from him, plus now the 7 other discrepancies in the report. But it doesn't make it, just because you get new information, doesn't mean that you weren't making a reasonable inference based on what information you had available previously at the time. So they say, like the burglary earlier on, it's like I thought the burglary was unsolved. You made a police report and nobody wanted to do anything about it. Mr. Osborne, that's not really a question, it's more of a statement. So Klingler says, now we learn that actually it was your sister-in-law who had stolen your money. So Osborne says, is there a question? Klingler says, yeah. I guess my question is, are you telling me the whole story here, or are you just giving me bits and pieces, hoping I won't figure out what the truth is? So Afroman says, I'm telling you the whole story. She stole. Mr. Osborne says, wait a minute. The question becomes, what is your question? You asked him if he's telling you the truth. He answered that. Ask him a specific question. That was the question. Are you giving me the truth, or are you just giving me bits and pieces, hoping I won't find out the whole truth? I'm giving you the truth. Okay. I may have asked you this. I apologize. I thought the post may have been taken down, but the YouTube videos aren't. Do you have any plans to take the YouTube videos? Mr. Osborne, which specific videos? Klingler, the ones that depict or make fun of or tell lies about, let's just limit it, the ones that make fun of or tell lies about these officers. Mr. Osborne, tell me a specific one, we'll review it and have it taken down if it meets the criteria. Mr. Klingler, I think there's a lot of them. Afroman says, I only got like 3 or 4 songs up on YouTube. So, lies, will you help me repair my door? That's not a lie. That was a real question. Will you help me repair my gate? Will you help me repair my door? Any kidnapping victims inside my suit pockets? That's not a lie. They was actually going through my suit pockets. The sheriff disconnected my camera. That's not a lie. That's a fact. Why are you stealing my money? That's not a lie. That's a fact. So Afroman just says, there's 3 or 4 and here's why they're all not going to meet your criteria. So Klingler says, well, again, you don't know that, do you? He says, I do. That's why the lady at the sheriff's department said it. That's why Fox News caught it. Because he stole my money. That song is true. It's not lies about him. Okay? And then, why are you disconnecting my video camera? That's another song I got up. That's not a lie. That's a fact. Why are you disconnecting my video camera? And then the other song is, I'm going to have a good time even though times are bad. That's not a lie. And then I have lemon pound cake. Lie. Kicked down my door. Found no kidnapping victims. Just some lemon pound cake. That was a little playful lemon pound cake. Any songs on YouTube about Lisa Phillips or Brian Newland? No. If I identify to your attorney any songs about Lisa Phillips or Brian Newland stealing money or whatever, would you be willing to take those down? So Afroman says, let's see. I had a line in, why are you disconnecting my video camera? I didn't know Brian Newland's name at that time. So, I didn't say Brian Newland in the song. Mr. Osborne. The answer to that is if you identify them, we'll review them. If there's something in that, we'll take action. Klingler says, thank you. Osborne says, but the question becomes, we just need an instance of what exactly you're referring to. One of the reasons I followed up before and talked about this and kept asking you, which posts are you referring to? So Klingler says, all right. And Osborne's like, but I would like instances on that. Because I reviewed the YouTube channel and I didn't see anything that mentioned Brian or Lisa Phillips. So Klingler says, okay, fair enough. I'll take a look. If we find anything, I'll let you know. And those are all my questions. Thank you. So Afroman says, yes, sir. And then Mr. Mosier, who's there for the plaintiffs for the counterclaim, says, Mr. Foreman, I don't have any questions for you today. My name is David Mosier. I represent the plaintiffs only with respect to your counterclaims. I'm going to reserve the right to possibly ask you questions in the future. But we stated discovery on the counterclaim. We've started? In fact, we're looking at scheduling a hearing on that motion with the judge coming up. So I just wanted that to be known. And then the court reporter says, and are you ordering? Klingler says, yes. Court reporter says, and sir. Mr. Moser says, I'll take a copy too. And Osborne says, yeah. And then they conclude at 3:13 p.m. that day. So there is the September 3rd, 2024 deposition of Mr. Joseph Foreman, aka Afroman. I think he held it down. Very consistent. It's always been the same thing. I'm saying these things to try to make some money, to pay back the damage you did here. Try to make some money. And for these certain other things, here's my proof of why I think somebody stole my money or cut my cameras. And this has been very consistent from Afroman the whole time. So, Half Irish says that was amazing. I agree. I think that was I love depositions. I really do. If you guys missed it, we recently read Joe Tacopina deposing attorney, also party in the case, a named defendant in an extortion case, deposing Tyrone Blackburn about lying to the court, saying he had an emergency medical procedure. He's got new filings that contradict everything. It's like one big hairy mess, but it was a great deposition. So if you like depositions, go search my channel for, just put Tyrone, and go check that out. Joe Tacopina is one of my favorite attorneys. Very theatrical, very sharp. You'll see throughout the whole deposition, he's got a strategy from the inception of the deposition that he wraps back to by the end of it. So it's great, great stuff. And then whoever says he's clearly a brilliant man, I'm assuming this is about Afroman, I agree. Very honest, very candid, and very creative with his words. Like, I think there's something to be said. He's great with wordplay, but to also be able to say something in simple terms and not get long-winded, not pull a cat starts ranting for 10 minutes and forgets what she's saying. Like, he doesn't do that. He's a clear communicator. And he's not going to back down. He's not just going to be like, oh, but do you have more evidence than the evidence you already listed out? And he's like, that's the evidence. Like, what do you mean it's not evidence to say that money on envelope different than money you return? Lady, admit money shorter. Like, do we have to talk in caveman language for you to get this? So, definitely agree, win for Afroman here. Martina Nem likes my reading. You know what? I try. I really love depositions. So I'm glad you enjoyed the reading. I'm like, you know what? I could do AI voice reading the deposition. I'm like, no, I don't think that would be the same. So Legal Focus bought lemon pound cake slices yesterday. So guys, if you have a Publix near you, the sliced pound cakes, and they have a lemon flavor with frosting. BOGO. Buy one, get one free this week. Also, Entenmann's brand, who also has pound cakes, who also has a lemon pound cake. Entenmann's is also BOGO at Publix. And if you don't want lemon, you can get the other flavors, but come on, we're doing lemon this week. So let me get a link here to, let me get Legal Focus. Because on Tuesday evening, we're going to have a panel show over there. It's going to be a great time. I might, and I've got to check my email, I might simulcast it to this channel. That way everybody gets the notification that it's going on. But I will encourage everybody to kind of unify in one chat, and the home base for that stream is going to be hosted by Legal Focus. So you guys know how I do that sometimes with the simulcasts. I'll simulcast to myself because you guys will know what's happening. But it's always fun to join one big chat party. So make sure you check out... Actually, wait, the stream is planned already. Okay, so scratch that. Let me get a direct link to the stream. There you go. That way you can hit the notify button and subscribe to Judy if you aren't already subscribed over there. We're going to be talking about the Afroman case. So it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time. And you see, I win life. Listen, I grew up near like this little Entenmann's factory, and it used to smell so good. So good. I don't know. Some Entenmann stuff is still really good. But I swear it used to be better back in the day, or maybe it was just because I was younger and didn't have the sophisticated taste buds I have now. But I swear, man, it used to smell so good when they would be baking the cookies. It was a whole different time. And now it's just like a little box at a supermarket on a shelf. I'm like, this isn't the same vibe. So, yeah, and created by EJ, a very good point. Lemons are a fruit, so lemon pound cake is very good for you. So, does anybody have any Canadian stores to recommend to get some lemon pound cake? You might have to get the ingredients and just whip it up yourself. So, that might be the one there, KLF. That might be the exact same one. So, right near Hemlock. So, good old times. Do we have the video depositions? No. But what I think I'm going to do is wait the 30 days to see if there's a notice of appeal and then send in the request. So Brooklyn says Whole Foods had lemon muffins. Bought a few. It was awesome. Whole Foods, okay. Whole Foods has these two types of brown butter chocolate chip cookies. One is like the bigger pack with like a dozen cookies in it, I think. And then another is like a 4-pack clamshell, plastic clamshell. They are not the same cookies. They're labeled the same, the ingredients look the same, and maybe it's just because the clamshell ones are bigger and they bake differently. They have a totally different taste and texture. You've got to get the clamshell ones. Don't think that, hey, I can get 12 cookies that are like the same price as these 4 in the clamshell. If you really want to go treat yourself, try the brown butter Whole Foods cookies in the clamshell. I crave them. They're crispy around the edges. They're like gooey on the inside. The chocolate is super good. It's a totally different cookie than their regular set of cookies. They're like the best thing they've got there, in my opinion. So totally recommend that. Have not had their lemon muffins though. Oh my goodness. Yeah, and that might be why it tastes different, you know, if it's not the same. If the Entenmann's factory used to like really throw down and the box stuff isn't the same, that would explain it. So, oh man. And let's see. Also, big thank you here. Auntie M here for the 20 says for tea with honey to save your voice and a slice of lemon pound cake. Definitely going to have some dessert this weekend for sure. And my birthday's next week, so might have to for real do the lemon cake. I think I threw my bunt mold away, but I do have like a mini bunt maker, so maybe I could just show up next week with a bunch of mini lemon cakes. So they'll be like ounce cakes instead of pound cakes. And the tea with honey, thank you, I love that, and it does work. But I swear the second I wake up in the morning, my voice is fine. If I get a phone call, if I have a meeting, if I start streaming, the first sentence I say, my voice just goes to crap. So I don't know what it is. My grandfather has a garble in his voice too. Same thing as soon as he speaks for more than a minute. So I think it just runs in our family. So there we go, you guys. Yes, the original recipe, a pound of everything. Which is why, and I love the look of a bundt cake, but to me, the pound cake, it's typically smaller because that's the size those ingredients would make. Yep, you got to add flour slowly, and you should sift the flour, right? Or use, right? You should sift the flour to really get it right. My grandma's pound cake, she always did the hint of almond. And I could never figure out, why don't these other pound cakes from these stores, like they're missing something, or bakeries? It's the little bit of almond that makes the traditional pound cake really have that classic taste. But yeah, it's like a garble. That's what I call it. Wait, is this? Ah, you made a lemon pound cake. Heck yeah. Love it. Congratulations. Is this your first time making a lemon pound cake? Everybody should try it. Everybody should add it to their rotation of baked goods. Jersey Girl Trey just got her personal lemon bundt cake today. I really want to go to a store and see if somebody comments on me like ordering or buying a lemon pound cake. Like if they just like, I'm walking with a lemon pound cake and that like we walk opposite ways, but we lock eyes and they go, I know what you're buying that for. So, oh man. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Remember, there are several other, where's the deposition folder? There are 8 others. I think his second one wasn't quite as long, I don't think. Yeah, so his next deposition's only 28 pages. I think most of these were, they got 45, so Sean's is a bit long. Which Sean was this? Sean Cooley. So lemon pound cakes was a little thick. His deposition's a bit thicker than the rest. Justin Cooley's was kind of long, 38. 63 for Brian Newland. Lisa's 25. Randolph Walters, 39. And then 16 for Sean Grooms. But I think all of these, oh, these are like the stupid 4-way pages. And then there's also these indexes, so. But yeah, it might be longer than I thought if they're doing all of these this style. Because it's a lot smaller font. Okay, so it might be more than a part 2 to get through the depositions, but we'll figure it out. And yeah, I hope everybody has a great Saturday. Have a good weekend. Probably see you tomorrow, though. You know me. If I don't see you tomorrow, have a great weekend. Monday, who knows? We'll probably do something not Afroman. We'll get back to some other cases we've been talking about. And then Tuesday, panel show over with Judy. It's going to be a great time, so hope to see you there. Well, it's the first word that came to mind when thinking of Sean Cooley. So, yeah, hold on. Where's the thing I added for myself? Is it this one? Yeah. So guys, we have this footnote on screen right now is actually from Joe Tacopina in a motion for sanctions against Tyrone Blackburn in the Fat Joe, Terrence Dixon, Tyrone Blackburn case. He just said, for the foregoing reasons, enough is enough. Or I think it was a sentence of a paragraph, not a footnote. And it's how I'm going to end this stream. To myself, enough is enough. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great one.